right, there we go. That's us. That's our intro, and so Nigel is still trying to figure it out. So
Poor Nigel, he's trying.
He's been my favorite for my god. He was actually my first rep. When I first started, we were this big, and we just were getting BB. Oh wait, I think. See, just got to say his name enough times, and there he is.
Three times.
Welcome, sir.
Hey, what's going on, guys?
Yeah, right. Let's see. Let me see if I
I know why he was late. He was grooming the mustache.
That's got to be it. That is
takes a lot.
Very few can grow that. Very few.
Labor of love.
Yeah. Unfortunately, I can, and this little face can't support all that. It actually, I ended up leaning over, falling over. It's it's terrible. This is not an optical illusion, by the way, Jonathan. We've never met. I really am this little. I am.
It's just camera angles.
Yeah.
Hi, everybody. Welcome to the show today.
I move all the middle schoolers off to one side so that I can be taller than him. So it's
angles too. If you just upstage yourself in front of the camera.
Oh yeah, I stand a lot like this, so it's easier to see.
Yeah, move a little closer. So, pardon me if I'm a little still getting my stuff together. I got my coffee. It is 7 a.m.
7 a.m. there, right?
Yeah, breakfast time.
And Nigel, you are 1 hour behind?
1 hour behind. Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
So, well, waiting for, let me open up the chat here. So we'll wait for people. Usually takes a couple minutes, people join in, things like that. But I mean, so Nigel, I was telling Jonathan, Toucan ended up having some family stuff he had to do, so he's not going to be able to join us.
Oh, no. Okay.
So it's just the three of us, which is hilarious because when I told him, he keeps me on track with a lot of things. He is absolutely my number two. And like with everything in this world, I'll ramble something off. It's like, I know what you mean. Don't worry about it. I got it. And normally we only do the every other Wednesday. And so I told him that this Wednesday we're doing it off schedule. He's like, I'm not going to be on. I said, well, hang on. I said, I'm having Jonathan Higgs. He goes, wait a minute. Why do I know that name? I said, just think about it for a second. He goes, oh man. All right, fine. I'll be on. And we scheduled it. He was going to be on. And then he just had a last minute thing come up with the family. So he's not going to join it. He was supposed to be here to keep me reeled in, so I don't fanboy out too much.
Oh boy!
But,
and then you got two of us are going to just lead you down the worst paths possible for the show.
The worst part is, hang on a second. I don't see anybody at all in the chat, and I'm
going to be totally unprofessional. Eat my terrible Japanese breakfast.
So actually, if you've never seen anything we've ever done, which you probably haven't, which is fun, normally I eat on the stream because it's 7 o'clock, and by that time I'm starving. So normally I'm eating, and we have topics, we maintain topics, but it's such a low key platform that it just we just there. Okay, so Ed, what's going on, Ed? How we doing, buddy? And Miranda, Dark Horse 6. I mean, I'll wait a little bit longer to get some folks on, but this was a big deal for me. Nigel and I, this stream is probably going to go about 4 hours, because our 3-minute phone calls go about 30 minutes. So if I'm doing the math right, it's
the same thing with me and Johnny. So it's going to be a doozy.
Yeah, we.
The hey, you got a minute phone call. It's like 2 hours later, you're like, oh man, I gotta go. Isn't it bedtime? It's bedtime.
Always
Nigel, right?
worked out for me when he went. So when I started, I had inherited a field, and I didn't even own the field yet. I was just kind of managing it, and I was like, I need BBs. I'm tired of buying match grade matrix giant bags, and so I need good BBs. So I Elite Force, and I got with I don't even remember how I got with it. It might have even been through Tiny. Tiny might have put me on with him.
I think it was.
Yeah, because Tiny had DEO first, and I was doing 19.2, and then we did this, and it was just BBs, and I'm like, well, I need like 2 guns, because guys need, and it was like this little thing, and then slowly but surely we would call when I finally opened up the brick and mortar. He'd go like, what do you need? I'm like, This. By the way, while I got you, 45 minutes, an hour later, still. But I've had some of the most tremendous ideas pop up because of our conversations that have really worked out. Hey Ed, will you do me a favor, by the way, real quick, Ed in the chat? Hey, are we popping up on all the different? Are you seeing us from Facebook? So this is something I wanted to talk about, by the way, because you will probably love this, Nigel. I know you read this. I'm fed up. Facebook, it's ridiculous. The pick and choose who they put the shadow bans on and for what they want to do it and all that. I can't anymore. We've migrated almost completely over to Instagram for everything that we post. And because as of yesterday, Cherub Milsim, who filled the void when Tagan and Enola Gay got kicked out, they created these wonderful grenades. They're soft like a TPU material, and they look like wiffle balls. Some look like little Tagan ones, but they're still soft. And you put adult snaps in them, so when they launch and they hit, they pop. Beautiful design, fantastic. Fill the void, no legalities, things like that. And they don't even. Most of them look like literal toys, and we're carrying them in the store now. But I was just doing a display to show, hey, Cherub, check them out. Facebook knocks it down. I put in a request to bring it back up. They say no, and I had it. I went and I did the formal committee review, the whole thing, and I just can't. And then at the same time, I either see just naked anime or half naked, like no problem.
The ads I see on there, like it's that, or it's like rolling machines. It's like everything that's they're like rolling up broccoli or something. I'm like, come on, really? Or some kind of, I mean, I don't know how unfiltered, because like Airsoftology was always like the PG version of John. I mean, like actually more like even G version of me. Yeah. I'm not PG or G. So how un-PG or G are we here? Like how far am I allowed to wander out?
However far you want. Yeah, no, you
okay.
Can, you're absolutely welcome to do it. Yeah.
Anybody that knows me in real life is like, I'm the same guy. I just use a lot more 4-letter words. Here it is.
Yeah, you're welcome to. Let me, before you do, so real quick, anybody that's joining, Jonathan Higgs originally, I know originally from Airsoftology, and by the way, to this day, I still don't have a tactical corgi patch. So
you know what?
My next BCM, there should be a little one in.
Do you like the OG one? I've got a few of those hiding somewhere. Or do you want the newer one?
And I'm not even a patch wearer. But I will take one of those because as Nigel Iles down here, Dallas 46 on YouTube, originally from Elite Force, and then Senpai Distribution Group. Right, Distribution Group, is that right, or just distribution?
Legal name and real name. Just you call it Senpai. Senpai, whatever.
And the both of you from that now, and I even made my little tickers and stuff. I'm almost professional here. And so these two gentlemen now working together. This one down here with me from the beginning. I've been watching from the start of Airsoft when I first started playing.
Wow. It's been the podcast started in 2009, and we kind of switched to video around 2011, 2012. And I ran it till about 21, 22, like the when the vid hit, the number 19 train came through. That's about when I started pulling back, just because we can hit this topic too. The Facebook issues, the social media problems, the problems being a YouTuber in this space and trying to earn money without selling out the way we used to. Because that was the big thing. I mean, I'd built up a business on YouTube, and with all the freaking internet Gestapo and all the stuff that's going on, they just, I mean, it absolutely shredded away the ability for anybody in this space to earn a living. I mean, Nigel knows he was doing it too. He's a YouTube guy.
Yeah, it's the shadow banning, getting the accounts flagged. You know, this is a conversation I think we've had independently, but now we got everyone together. It's like, I always thought we'd see the writing on the wall, which we did, but I thought, like, okay, they're coming after gun culture, right? Obviously. But they came after airsofters first, and I was like, I did not see that coming. I thought it would be the other way around, but like the low-hanging fruit, like, oh, these guys, you know? Yeah. So
we were easy to get, because at this still, after all these years, we're not organized.
No.
Yep.
No. That's
we're still fractured. We're still fractional. We're still all over the place. And living in Taiwan, I can kind of understand why. I mean, the industry versus like an industry like a paintball, let's say, that has come together, that has proper organization, or air guns for the example too. Those are more I would say US or EU focused businesses. But in the airsoft industry, it's just hyper competitive to the point of if it takes you down, I'm cool with it. And that mentality, not everywhere, but I think at a high level in some of the spaces, and it's just a business difference, and a business culture difference. But yeah, I don't think we can fix that, sadly.
So it's funny. Like, I've said it personally, publicly, on here, at my field, everywhere I go, I end up having the conversation. I had the conversation when I went to Tennessee. I went to the Wolverine class, tech class, and actually had it in that forum. We had the conversation because it's an integrity-based hobby or sport, but nobody at the low level enforces the personal integrity piece. We grow guys that still run rampant. So where paintball has grown to a televised sport. Why? Because they get hit, they get seen, a ref can see and call them out. Well, Speedsoft gets a crazy bad rap anyway, and Woodsball, playing Milsim, how do you put that on TV? How do you organize that? So we've said many times, the requirement is for every field owner to treat it like a sport, to raise them the right way. So by the time they're often independent, they're teaching the young ones that are next to them not to do so. Eventually, a couple of generations in, you have guys that not calling your hit, cheating, do any of those things. It's not even a part of it. So now then people can get together. You find the top tier people in your area. You find all the event producers that are top tier. You get them to communicate effectively. Start getting an organization where across the board the rules are all the same. You start doing that, and there's Jax, ESPN, that's right. You start doing that, and now you have, when if somebody shows up at a field, well, now that's an endorsed field, and you get to that field, they're endorsed by this organization. You know exactly what to expect, rule set wise, MEDs, all that kind of stuff. Same thing. So now, then you change the culture completely, and it grows. I've been working on that for 7 years. Little bits, every little step. The community has gotten better. I know my guys, the way they play on our field, and when they go to other fields, they see differences, and they bring our mentality to those fields, and hopefully it extends from there. But that's always been my take on it.
I mean, I think I agree with you 100% on the rule set piece. I think you're right. I mean, there's a couple places. One thing I've seen, the fields that do it right, or the communities, not fields, communities that do it right, have a level of mentorship. And that's what you're talking about, is the senior players, I guess, I don't want to say like, the bosses, but the people that have been playing it for a while, they share the culture to the newer player. There's like, hey, you're new to the field, come over here, let me show you how to do this. Come run with me, whatever. And I see that at the good fields, at the good communities, at the good places. You'll see that. But the problem is you don't see that everywhere. And And then the competitive piece is a weird thing because Airsoft's always been about community fun, honor, playing fair. No one really, I mean, you kind of win, but nobody really wins. But with the rise of Speedsoft, that adds a competitive nature, and that makes it now, I don't want to say hostile, but there is competitive nature, and some people will want to win at all costs. And it's a mix. And then that gets into the culture, and you have now too, and that's what paintball had to deal with too. It's like, how did you deal with, the speedball guys versus the woodsball? And that was always the battle there forever, and it still is. Where now it's like mag-fed woodball versus the speedball guys.
Well, if you guys know people in paintball too, speedball can be pointed at as one of the downfalls, that slump of paintball. But now you're seeing mag-fed paintball come back up. So yeah.
Nigel probably remembers this. 7 years ago, I think, when I first started taking over things, and I went to run my very first event, we called it the 6mm shootout. I don't know if you remember that or not. I ordered that was when the Glocks were supposed to come out. And I was like, all right, they're coming out perfect at time because they were all going to be prizes. And by the time it came, you're like, hey, man, they backed them off again. I'm like, because I announced them.
God, yeah.
But I thought, because I grew up as an athlete and I was in the Army, I know personally, if you're an athlete, you want to challenge yourself, truly challenge, not lie about your accomplishments. Someone who's a true athlete wants to be able to accomplish the things they said they've accomplished. So I'm like, cool. Simply when you shoot out, all the events are time-based, target-based. It's you're part of a team. And you don't get to shoot against another person until you make it to the semifinals. And that's how you break it down. I was like, these guys are going to love it. And people were like, oh, it sounds great. It's also before I knew how to pre-sell tickets. So I had, between the rental of the field and all that, I was definitely probably 15,000 deep, prizes and all kinds of stuff. 25 people showed up because nobody wanted to be challenged. This was still back when guys would go on a field and come off the field and be like, dude, I shot 37 people. There's like 12 people playing. I mean, how did you shoot 37 guys? It's not a real number. And that's what it was back then. And I learned quickly that back then, at least, airsofters, they didn't want to be actually challenged. They just wanted to say whatever they wanted to say. Well, airsofters are getting smarter now. It's not, again, back when I started, Polar Star just came out, so guys knew, crank up the tank, and that's how you shoot somebody. That's different now too. There's so many different things that are out now, and I feel like I feel like we're getting closer to that next iteration, that next step.
If we don't get murdered by social media, I mean, and that will circle back around. You're stuck building at the community level, and as long as like your Facebooks and you said you're moving everything to IG, right? It's the same company. It's already people. I see it from an IG side. People are getting wiped out off IG. You're getting post removed, all those things. They're like Nigel and I, we talked about, we saw this. I saw this coming from a business standpoint for me. And that's why I was like, I have to pivot. I have to make a change to do something different. Otherwise, I'm dead. I can't keep doing YouTube as my primary career, because at one point, YouTube, you could make an absolute proper living between YouTube money, some brand deals. If you were, savvy enough, I was selling like the patches. I just did like a couple of the dog patches, some airsoft related patches at the time, like 1 or 2 at a time. Like, hey guys, new drop, one of those things had like 100 units I was making at any given moment, and just stuffing envelopes and, mailing them out with stamps. And it still was good. Like a very comfortable, you could, just to be candid with you, you could do a very low, but a low 6-figure income. And this is, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, those years. If you had a decent audience, and you didn't have to have 1 million subs. I never had 1 million subs. We're talking about like 100,000 subscribers or even less. And if you just built it right, you could have a comfortable living. And guys like Jet, like those guys, and they were way ahead. Novrich, before he became, a product marketer, and he was still like a content creator solely. He was doing just insane. You could actually monetize your videos. Now there's no way. You're lucky to get a video monetized. And that's why I backed away from Airsoftology. I mean, you put a video out and you're like, cool. And you're like, well, Jonathan, it doesn't matter if you don't make money. If your video doesn't have a monetization, a little dollar sign saying, hey, you can make money, YouTube doesn't make money. So YouTube doesn't share your content. The videos that have a dollar sign next to them with the green versus the yellow one, which means some people may see it, but good luck. Or most of the time it's just, big old X. Sorry. I mean, you can still put the video out, but you're not going to get paid on it. Like a 10X view count difference.
That's crazy.
Yeah. It is. And I could go through my list. 10X. Oh my God, Donna's in here. Hey, yeah. Donna, wow. I haven't talked to her in forever. How you doing, Donna? Wow. Speaking of patch people, so if she hasn't changed, Donna, you're
not at all.
So good. Okay. So yeah, but Rumble and Jax brings up in chat Rumble. Yeah, but the problem is the challenge with Rumble is as a platform is fantastic, but who's there to watch at this point?
Right.
See,
and again, how can you monetize?
We do this. We've never considered trying to I've never gone back and edited one of these videos. We do it. It's live, and then if anybody wants to watch it after the fact, we do different series. We do we've done Balling on a Budget, which is how do you go to a mil sim and not spend a crazy amount of money. And we tell people how to pack out, how to travel, how to carry it on a plane. We talk about the different the different roles played in Airsoft, all the different stuff. It's primarily for entry-level guys to watch this stuff and get actual information without all the other fluff and all that kind of stuff. But at the same time, we talk to the advanced players and let them know, because we get guys that come on and they ask tech questions, and I'm happy to answer all those. And we go from both sides. We normally it's an hour long. That's it. We're done. We'll interview. Right now I'm doing a whole series interviewing all the different. No, you don't. All the different. Event organizers. So, we got Sal Zuniga coming from, where's that one coming from? Sorry, coming from TCA next week. I had, we've done Milsom West. We had Josh from Milsom West 3 weeks ago, Rob Wiener from New Breed Airsoft. So we're trying to get everybody we can, get them talking about where they came from, how they did it. And, having you on is a shift from that, but still your experience in the industry, where you came from and where you are now and how that shift happened. Watching Nigel, I've seen him personally go through some of the stuff that he went, and I met him again, right in the beginning. He was there from the beginning. And when he left Elite, I'd say he left Elite Force, I had nothing left to do with Elite Force. They treated me. Hey, look,
mute.
They treated me they treated. First of all, when he left, nobody even contacted me. Oh, okay, you don't want my business? It's fine, not a problem. And then I get one email, and he's like, "Hey, I'm your new rep," and that was 6 months later. I'm like, "Yeah, no," because anything I ever wanted that you don't have in stock, I stayed with Elite Force as long as I did because of Nigel.
And I hate to hear that, but
I mean. It's the truth. They had some stuff, but things, whether it's in or not, but
supply chain. I mean, speaking from that, we can go deeper on that. I mean, from the perspective I have, living here for those that most I think know, or some if they do know, I actually live in Taipei, Taiwan. That's where I'm at now. Super early, and it's kind of the core of the airsoft industry. Ultimately, between here and used to be Hong Kong, but not really. There's some Chinese manufacturers still. But Taiwan is still pretty much core when it comes to the industry. All the major players are here. And the Hong Kong guys have all moved here for the most part. Companies like PTS packed up out of Hong Kong and left, and they're here. And, Clarence Lai, the airsoft surgeon, he's here now. Let's see, who else? There's a couple others. Aries has some production facilities here now. Most of them, actually, a lot of plastics, things like that. There's a bunch of them. You get into it. Most of those guys, they all took off out of Hong Kong just from doing business. So seeing how business is done here, it's interesting to see when you're talking about companies out of stock. It's very tough. if you know, I mean, like things you can say and things you can't say. Like I can speak from my experience. I mean, even getting my products in, like the BCM stuff. I mean, it was almost a year and a month late from when it was promised to me.
Right.
Oh my God.
And it hit, because what'll happen is some companies in airsoft will prioritize the Asian market. And here's really what happens. You've got a few companies that do understand. When I say companies, I mean actual proper manufacturers, the people making the product. So you have a couple different business structures. A few of them are run by groups of people, like a partnership, 2 or 3 people. Most here are run by a family. So you'll have the boss is typically the dad, and the mom and the kids and the aunts and the uncles, and everybody works there.
All right.
I mean, almost the entire company is somehow related at a management level. And companies in Taiwan in general, you'll have a management level and then the workers. It's flat.
Okay.
Like even if you have a manager title, it's not really there. I mean, like it's there's no pyramid. There's no like manager, director, VP,
boss
none of
and
that.
Everybody else.
Yeah, it's the boss and everybody else. That's how it is here. So the boss makes the decisions.
Mm.
And as companies get older, John is like G&G, exactly. I mean, Mr. Liao is still it. He runs the company. Now he's got like guys like Rick, but Rick just left, I think.
Mm-hmm.
So he was kind of the GM, but still at the end of the day, it's the Liao family that runs it. He's the boss. And between him and his 3 kids, you got Amanda and the other 2, they operate the business organization, whether it's Asia, the production side, or the US market. And that's typical. That's normal. That's how most Taiwanese businesses are run. Keeps it in the family. Absolutely nothing wrong with that. But a lot of times decisions are made focused here because most of the people that run the companies are based in Taiwan. Unless they have, like G&G is a fantastic example, they actually have Amanda in the States. So Amanda is watching the U.S. market. Amanda's paying attention to what is going on there and the trends. So Amanda can bring that back and say, hey, here's what we need for the U.S. market. And they have someone there who's eyeballing it. But a lot of these companies don't have that piece. They're operating just in Taiwan. So the world they live in is the Facebook, which is what everybody uses here for social media. Good luck getting anybody off Facebook. I mean, literally, no one's ever left Facebook. And they will make decisions based on what's cool for this market. What's cool for here is like GBBRs and HPA is like borderline illegal here. I mean, it's question mark because of the laws in Taiwan. So nobody really wants to touch HPA. So that's why you'll see some of these products pop up. And you're like, why? Why are they doing that? And you're like, well, they're making decisions with what they see and what they hear. And the feedback loop they have is, Asian customers, what Taiwan wants, what Korea wants,
echo
what
chamber.
The Japanese market wants, what it's echo chamber. Yeah. Interesting. But also companies will, when they release their products, will focus on this market because it's home for them, right? They'll do the drop here and then the US becomes secondary. And you'll see companies like VFC's big of that, and they'll even do it with the HK stuff and I know like Glock or all that. Even if it's driven by a license like Glock, that's different. But like the HK stuff, because like a company like VFC will have distribution rights for certain markets outside of the US for HK, like in Asia typically, and they'll drop the item here before they drop it anywhere else. Same with like Colt stuff if they work a deal on like the Colt licensing and things like that. So when these companies do that, they'll focus on putting out in the Asian market because they can turn it and make money quick. Right? They sell to distributors, done, and then they'll drop it in the US. So you're talking about like Glock showing up late, or let's say the Avalons, the Avalon drought we've seen for the past 12 months. I can tell you why on that one. Probably won't on this show. Nigel's over here cringing. I won't tell you why. I know
Check
exactly
out
why
our
on
licensed
that one.
BCM product.
Yes. Exactly. But there's a lot of forces, a lot of things that are happening outside of control, and there's supply chain. There's all kinds of things going on. I mean, I still think after C-19, I mean, a lot of these companies still haven't fully recovered the machine. They haven't got the machine going. So, yeah, I mean, a lot of, you look at, and Jason has a good point, like FPS, like Japan's, it's sub 1 joule is the FPS limits. In Taiwan, it is the Wild West. Some fields have limits and you go to, but you look and they're pretty high. Some are reasonable. It's very field based. And some of these, it's like, no lie. I've been to a couple fields, like one field here, Linko. It's a CQB facility that actually the Taiwanese police force and military train at, but during the weekend they'll use it for airsoft. And like they're like, oh, the chrono's outside. I'm like, cool, let me go chrono. They're like, if you want to, yeah. I just want to see how hard you're shooting. You could do it. I mean, let me tell you, man, some of those guys are ripping.
It's nuts.
You're in there playing, and you can hear them crack by your ear, and you're like, "Woo, that is north of 500. That is very north of 500."
CQB, that's
yes,
yeah. The Philippines gets pretty wild over there too. We've seen the videos, and if you haven't, it's definitely worth a look. They have like they'll wear like winter coats and jackets, right, in the summer. But then they'll have like a pain game almost where it's a tap out thing, and they're full autoing each other, and they're all like SBR style M4s no stock type thing, high caps. It's nuts, dude.
No, thank you.
I'm good. I'm good. I will call my first one. Thank you.
Yeah, I don't need all that.
If you get a chance, definitely want to Google some like Philippine airsoft highlights.
When I first took over the field, I started playing at and then helping at and managing, and I took over the field. When we did our first remodel, the very first thing I did, we put up a chrono, and then I was like, hang on. And we built a chrono station outside. 3 chronos that you had to chrono. But this was, again, 7, 8 years ago, something like that, when it wasn't a common thing at a local field to chrono. We just, you wanted your gun to shoot fast, you put 0.2s in, nobody was using 0.3s or 3.2s. It was a barely used BB at a local field, at least. Mill sims may be different, but there's definitely has been a lot of change with that over the past 7 years, and I've loved watching the growth. I keep getting tricked into taking each next step that I take in this. I opened my brick and mortar because on a stream that I used to be a part of, on another stream, they started saying you should open a store. I'm like, I'm not opening a store. And then over the next 2 hours, they're like, you should really do it. I'm like, stop doing it. People are going to think I'm going to do it. They're like, I hear you're opening a store. I'm like, stop saying that. So when's your store open? Stop. And then by the end of the stream, they're like, so I hear you're opening next week. I'm like, okay, you know what? Got off the stream the next morning. I went, I wonder if, and within 4 keystrokes, I got an SBA EIDL loan. I'm like, well, all right, well, there's that. And then I found a building literally around the corner from my house, and it was big enough, and the guy gave me a discount for paying a year in advance. Like, everything fell into place. I'm like, well, I guess I have a brick and mortar now. And outgrew it within 9 months. Mm-hmm. Got the next, and people are like, you should do this. And I'm like, So one thing after another, and we literally just signed a lease for a 28,000 square foot facility. And we're opening up. Yeah, we're doing 15,000 square foot indoor arena. I'm putting in 2 800 square foot VR rooms.
That's awesome, man.
Yeah, it's just so it's cool. Yes, it's been that long. Yeah. So by the way, this guy right here.
Bye, Donna.
Bye, Donna. This is Tiny, Alex Pasco. Tiny. Mm-hmm. We started separate actually. And then a couple of conversations in, we joined together, and he was the original founder of Dead End Outfitters.
What's up, Alex?
And and that's how I actually met Nigel, was because of him. And I'm pretty sure Tiny introduced me to you. And we just, and things grew from there. And we've been together for 3.5 years, almost 4 years. We ran it together. And then he stepped away. He took a break. He took some time off, and I opened up the store. I did all that, and it's been crazy. The monetization piece of video and all, I don't care. I see the work that goes into it. I don't have time for patience. I don't want to do it. I would rather put my time into what I do best. And that's R&D, that's designing things, that's doing all that stuff, taking care of people, taking care of kids, doing all that. That's where I want to live. I got other people that do the rest of the stuff, but I do want to give before I go, if it wasn't for you, Jonathan, there's a lot of things I wouldn't be doing now. Watching Airsoftology. No, I'm serious. I mean, it's funny you said that Airsoftology was like the PG/G rated version of you, but some of that, the presentations that you gave, how you evaluated some of the guns, watching you go to the factories. You weren't just some YouTuber that got handed a gun and you're like, the thing works. No, if there was problems with it, you said there were problems with it, but you said it respectfully. If there was a great gun, you still said it with respect. You weren't like, yo, this is the best gun out there, beat all your gun. No, you were like, okay, well, it does this and this. This is good here. Probably the mag, be careful, or whatever it might have been. Going through people's, you probably got hundreds and hundreds of submittals for like videos of the week and things like that. And taking the time to go through that, paying attention to what people were asking you to do or asking for, watching you do that with sincerity was really cool. And you shared a lot of your personal self as well, all at the same time. I only know things about you because of watching that. And I knew what happened in your life. I knew when you moved to Taiwan. I only because of that. I think I sent you one message ever. It was on YouTube too. And it was never, but I don't do that. You have that thing. There's 100,000 other people that are bombarding you. I just cared about what you were doing. And that it meant a lot to me that you did what you did and you did it the way. Even my son, who got me into this, who got me started in Airsoft 11 years ago, he's in the Army. Actually gets out next week. Really cool.
Like gets out? Like
yeah, he's ETSing. Yeah, he's
okay, wow.
He just got back from Poland and he finished.
Has it been that long already? I remember the call, like the day before. You're like, I'm dropping my boy off. I don't know what I'm. You know what I mean? You're falling apart. I can't believe it's already been that long.
It has been that long. Wow. Yeah, but I blame him all the time. I tell him it's the dumbest thing I ever saw in my life when he first introduced it to me. And, 11 years later, it's still dumb, but apparently I went from being like a drug addict to a dealer because this is where I live now. And
that's how it works, right?
It is. It's great. But when I told him, I'm like, you'll never guess who I'm having on stream. And I told him, he's like, holy shit, Dad, because he remembers every time a new Airsoftology came out. I'm like, yo, you got to watch this one. Watch this one. We got to watch this one. He's talking about this. He's showing this gun. He's doing this. We're going over this. It really did mean, and I'm not blowing smoke. It really did mean that much to me. There was 2 guys that I ever cared to watch on YouTube out of all of the noise that was out there, and it was yourself and Random Trashy, which now goes by Heretic something. I'm trying to remember now. He was over in the UK, and he did very, very similar in his reviews of things that you did. I watched him one time. He's going out to a 4-day event, going out, and he showed how he packed his roll, and he showed what he packed, the different batteries, because he knew he wasn't going to be able to chuck. Like things I never would have thought of before. Yeah, and I just watched him, and he explained it very well. Same as how when you would talk about something, you're like, okay, well, this is this or this is that, and you gave the explanation that anybody from an entry level to a seasoned veteran could actually gather information from. And that, for me, that meant a lot. That's why when I talked to Nigel, I was like, hey, you come on. It was,
when Nigel asked me, he was like, hey, man, do you want to? I was like, yeah. I mean, instant. Like, there was no pause, no hesitation. I was like, I think the only question was like, how early do I have to wake up?
Yeah.
That was it. That was the only, like, because, living over here, it's like always the time zone thing is such a mess.
Yeah, I mean, I guess when I told him, we do it 7 p.m. So he's like, yeah, I think that's 7 a.m. there. I'm like, maybe. Yeah. I mean, I would have put
it's totally. I'm used to getting up early or staying up late. Typically, that's kind of my bumpers.
Sure.
So, like Nigel and I'll do a call late, which is early for you guys, and then or like this, I'll jump up, wrap up a day, especially if it's something like West Coast, you know. But our warehouse is in Florida, so any kind of issues I've got, I mean, that's
Which quick shout out, by the way, we do have a shipment coming in. It's not a massive one, but we do have a shipment of BCM products coming in
heading
soon.
this week.
Yeah.
I think this week. What did it say? Thursday?
Wednesday for us. Yeah,
still Wednesday. Yeah, you're in the
maybe
future,
this week. It should be a 1-day ship. Maybe this week. It depends on Saturday delivery or not. But yeah.
And I honestly, and Nigel knows, I'm more excited about the receiver kits than anything else.
The Virgos, yeah.
I'm actually going to be doing in the new facility. We're going to be doing like summer camp, and part of summer camp, day one, they pick from different bins all parts for a gun, and over the next 2 weeks, they learn about how to build that gun, and when they finish building it, they get to take it home. And that's a heck of part of it.
The Virgo, that's a heck of a project.
That's pretty awesome.
Yeah, but I I don't want them going home with a Walmart Black Ops,
Black Ops. Rather than, God, I remember that. Yeah. We're all laughing. We're definitely dating ourselves. We were the Black Ops.
That's the problem.
But it is that was a big thing. I mean, that was a dream for me, and Tiny knows this. If he's still watching, he'll remember. It was a dream for me to have a summer camp. Before I ever even thought about having an indoor, I was like, if I ever have, that's the whole reason why I want to have it, is because, look, I love the community. Nigel, I consider friends. I've never met Nigel in person, but we've had conversations about everything, family, everything. We've had conversations about, and so like Jason, surefire word, Jason Tom, he's part of Dark Horse 6, Steve Tom's son. All of the guys from Dark Horse 6, I see them once every, 6 months maybe. They're wonderful friends. I love those guys, right? I go, we hang out, we spend as much time as we can together when we get to the events together. They are absolutely the best. Again, I see them twice a year, so this community means that much to me, and being able to do for the kids who most airsoft kids never played another sport before. So getting this to be their sport, teaching them teamwork, sportsmanship, integrity, character building, all those kind of things, that brings them up right. So if I can do that, and I now have a facility where they're mine for 2 weeks and we can do that, maybe I make a difference.
That's a great approach, man. I love that.
It is.
Yeah. Yeah. One of the reasons.
Alex, Black Ops.
Go ahead, John.
Yeah. Alex just jumped in the comment. He's like, hey man, Black Ops were great. It was if you want to learn how to tech, get it, keep it for the summer. By the end of the summer, it's time to tech that thing. So, but dude, they were $99, weren't they, at Walmart? I think they were $99.
The end cap at Walmart, right? Every airsoft vendor that had previously been buying our guns from. Here we go, dating ourselves. Red Wolf's still there, but like War Game Club or Den Trinity, right? Back in the day.
Or Atlanta. Atlanta was like the only East Coast
an OG.
Deliver. Yeah, they really had anything decent. Yeah.
I ordered from Airsoft Atlanta multiple times. Yeah. But you'd wait and play the customs game. Do you want us to remove your trades or not?
Yeah. The box. I totally forgot. You want to cover trades, little checkbox.
That put a little piece of putty on the Colt trades on your M4, so that was the game you played if you wanted to save a few bucks and get it from overseas. So when I saw it at Walmart, right, that's what kicked off my YouTube channel. Actually, I was like, I'm gonna buy this thing and I'm gonna do like a full review and gameplay with it, and that's what actually kicked off my YouTube.
Wait, so Black Ops gun was your first?
But it was my jump off point. I've still got
jump off point for YouTube. I'm saying not first gun, but firstly jump off for YouTube.
Yeah. So I still got friends that call me the Walmart Airsoft guy, and I'm like, hey man, come on. But yeah.
So let me see if I can guide this a little bit. Now you guys have known each other for a minute.
God, yeah. Like, what was that? Broken Home? No, it was it Broken? No, it wasn't Broken Home. We went on to what was the first big road trip we had? That was all the way to go to Copperhead. Copperhead was the first Copperhead, right? Yeah.
Yeah, the very first one. Yep.
20+ hour, 30 hour road trip. They didn't have a trailer, so we had to like jam everybody in. Oh my God, that. So like what was it? Elite Force. This is back during the pro staff days.
Yeah.
And you had just come on board. Were you on board officially, or were you still doing media?
I was still doing my YouTube thing, but Vince Mann was my rep when he was with Elite Force, and me and him were Me and him, he's a awesome dude. Yeah, man. He's Vince Mann. So I was like, hey man, you going to Copperhead? And I think he tried to back out too, but I forced him to go in with us. You might remember that conversation. Mm-hmm. But Yeah, I basically just finagled my way in, man. I was like, "Hey, you got an extra seat on that van?" You know what I mean? So,
so we had like it was one of those 10-person, like rent like vans,
seat.
right?
Oh,
yeah, like just a 10-person van, the white, the one that and we were supposed to have like 2 vehicles. I think there's a second one, and it was supposed to have like when they rented it had a trailer hitch. Well, anyway, for whatever reason, this is the Elite Force. We all meet at the Elite Force headquarters. And there's no trailer hitch. They don't like you can't tow with a rental or whatever. So we all end up having to jam into one vehicle. It's supposed to be like there was like what, 8 of us, 7 of us in our gear, all of our gear.
One of those, forget it.
All the pop-up tents for Elite Force.
Yeah,
like 7 or 8 of us. It was like Jet, you, me. I brought Patrick came with me.
Patrick
Pennyvong. Yep. Patrick came along with me, buddy of mine. So we were out there. We're like, we're going, right? So thank God Patrick's like,
small,
5'6", 7", and like 98 pounds soaking wet. So he was, but there were a bunch of big boys.
Yeah, you got Cliff, Eric Howard.
You're freaking 6'4" or whatever. Jeez,
yeah.
You're like 6'4" plus. Like, I'm only 6 foot. I'm like looking up.
Mighty.
Never
so
stand all of us,
either one of you guys.
Eric, was Eric in there?
Oh yeah,
Eric back there? Yeah, Eric was in there.
The Jackrabbit. Remember the Jackrabbit story?
Oh my God, the Jackrabbit.
Did you?
That's a whole other episode.
It's a whole other episode for the Jackrabbit story.
Did you work for Elite Force?
Pro staff.
Who, me?
Yeah,
we were pro staff. So Elite Force for a while back in 20. What was that? 2014, 2015?
Yeah.
15, right when the 1911 came out, the Elite Force TAC, 1911 TAC. I think it was around that time period. They had a thing called pro staff. So they got media guys like myself, Jet, few others. Who was it? Robo? Was Robo in there for a little while? No.
Hollywood Chris.
Chris Hollywood, Chris Bast.
Bobby Kilroy. Remember him?
Oh, what was that? What was his group called? Yeah.
Mako Boys.
Mako. So it was, and then you too. So we were all kind of like sponsored, kind of. I mean, we didn't get a paycheck. It was just like, I will cover your event, like, okay, cool. I get to go get content, and they always treated us really well. Like Cliff, and this is back when it was Cliff, and I think Andy wasn't there anymore. It's Cliff and Vince.
Yeah,
I think.
And Coward. Yeah.
Yeah, and Eric Howard at Elite Force. And so we were doing like crazy media. It was kind of in the golden years, and Jet was on the way up. Leah was on the climb. I was building mine. We were all like doing our media stuff.
The McAfee Mansion.
Oh yeah, we had the McAfee Mansion. So anyway, we're on this like, was it 30?
Yeah.
It was more than, how long was that road trip? We jammed 10 of us, like 8 or 9 of us jammed in that van.
I don't know. Yeah, it was pretty awful, man. I just remember the smells and the seats.
Oh God, the seat, because it's like one of those vans that just have like the seat, right? There's not even headrest.
Just the L shape, like a bus.
Yeah, and we're all jammed in there and it's like we're rotating, driving. I even drove some. I think I drove half the way back. Like I'm pretty darn sure I wasn't. Yeah, because it was like, wasn't it a company van or a rental van? It was a company van.
It was a rental van. It was like from U-Haul.
Yeah.
Or something. Nope.
Yep. We broke him.
Yeah. Made him went too far back.
He glitched.
There he is.
But yeah, so it was like a U-Haul van, like he was saying. It was hilarious, man. This whole trip was just, we get there and we're just wrecked. We're absolutely wrecked. It's an American Mill Sim vent, Copperhead. I mean, they still do it. And thank God we had these houses to stay at on the facility. And if you've never been to Copperhead, it's legit in the middle of nowhere. You're like 15 miles from the Mexican border in an old copper mining town. I mean, I'm dead serious. It's an hour drive, no exaggeration, to get to any civilization. I mean, even a gas station.
Dang.
Yeah.
And we rent this.
That's schedule for this year. We're supposed to be going to that.
You should go. I mean, it's trust me, if you get a chance, it's great, except for the murder hornets, the scorpions, the tarantulas,
rattlesnakes,
the actual rattlesnakes. I mean, I say murder hornets. I mean, no lie, it is a hornet, and I swear to God, it's those Asian hornets. They're like this. It's like somebody took a wasp and gave it a massive amount of steroids. These things are nuts, and I'm not lying. You see them; they're this freaking big, and you're like, what? I mean, anyway, I still have nightmares, obviously. But we rented a mansion. It was probably 20-30 minute drive west of the field.
Yeah.
It ended up being, it had like a pool. It was beautiful. And they had its own airstrip. Yeah. It's like in a small community out in the middle of the desert. I mean, literally. And it had its own airstrip. And it's basically one of those uber rich communities. And it was owned by McAfee, the software guy. The one that ended up, remember his story where he went to Costa Rica or somewhere and ended up shooting his neighbor with a shotgun or something?
Yeah.
Was wanted. And it's like, so, and then the caretaker of the property was there and he was a super cool dude. Remember that guy?
Yeah. Old boy with the big beard. Yeah.
Yeah. We were like jumping off the roof into the pool.
We shot some guns. Yeah. Some of the California boys met us there. And we're shooting guns, and we asked it's the middle of the desert. And he says, well, there's a good backstop, a mountain 10 miles away there if you want to shoot in that direction. There's nothing there. And we're like, okay. But he's like, but don't shoot that way because that's Mexico. That could be international. Well, okay.
Yeah. That way's Mexico. That way's the mountain. It was just like, just shoot at the mountain. Right. So we were in the middle of the night with all of our real guns out there in the desert. I mean, there's nobody around. You can't even see a soul. So I don't even think anybody could hear us. The only cars you would ever see driving were the DHS guys.
Yeah.
The Homeland Security guys, the Customs Border CBP is what it was. And they even had as we turned into the area, because that area is like a no trafficking area. They had this one van. They ran this pole. They had they apparently have a thermal camera that views the valley. So I'm sure they were just loving the fact that a bunch of kids are running around.
They said, they stopped us and they said, "Are you guys all U.S. citizens?" And in the back, I think someone
the checkpoint.
"Sí, senor." And I was like, "No, don't say that.
Don't say that.
This is not funny."
I remember that. I don't think I was driving. I was driving at the time, right?
Maybe.
And we hit that checkpoint. We hit the inland checkpoint.
It was unexpected too how we came up on it. We're just like, "Oh, okay."
Yeah, it's in the middle of nowhere. We're leaving. Yeah, and there's this weird CBP checkpoint. It's like a metal shed you pulled in. They had all the X-ray cameras that you drove through. So as you're driving in, they've already X-rayed you. They know how many warm bodies are in that car. And we pull up, and the guy gets here. He's like, "Is everybody here an American citizen?" He looks at. I remember all of us have our jackets on with our American flag patches, everything. He just kind of slides in. Guy, kind of a young CBP guy, body armor, kind of intimidating looking. He kind of looks in and sees, and I remember the smile he gave me. He's like, "You guys are good. I'll see you later." He asked how many are in here, and we counted up as 7, I think, or 8. And we're like that because I think they scan your body, so they look for how many warm bodies are in the car and make sure the number matches. But
so, all right, so and you had already had your channel by this point, though.
Oh yeah. This was probably, like I said, 20. This is probably during the peak of when I was really. This is when I was still doing actually gameplay content for a little while.
Okay, all right. So roll that back. What made? So I know you did. And I remember actually on one of your streams you talked about, if I remember correctly, the podcast you used to do, the company that was housing all of your audio content ended up going out of business or something like that. You lost all of your podcast content.
Yeah, I've got it like that. I need to go through my hard drive somewhere. I found some of the episodes, but not all of them. I was using, what was the name of that? It was early days. So it was long before cloud storage and all that. It was I forget the company I was using, but they were kind of the only real podcast aggregator. So you would take your stuff, send it to them, and then they would actually get out to iTunes, and this is pre-Spotify. So it was iTunes and I think at the time, no lie, Zune, the Zune store. If you really want to date yourself.
They're trying to go back all the way back to Winamp or something like that. Yeah,
exactly. Yeah. It really whips the llama's
Listen,
ass.
I'm old as hell. All right. I probably got you both beat. So just bear that.
I don't know. I might be the oldest.
51.
Oh, you got me beat. Okay, you got me beat by 5. You got me beat by almost 4 because I'm getting ready to roll 47 here in about a month.
I'm only 5'1", so my heart doesn't have to beat as much. The blood moves slower, right? So I age a lot slower.
That's your secret. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I age. My people age a lot slower than everybody else. Comes with living in a tree, so it's okay.
Oh my God. Wait, am I allowed to laugh? No, I don't know.
Yes, I promise. Yes, we had a meeting about it. You guys are allowed to laugh.
Okay, good. It's just like, am I written into the waiver here?
Listen, I'm the last not protected. People have no problem coming up to a short guy going, "Hey, look at you." I'm like, you know what? Touch my head again, I dare you. Yeah. Don't do that. It's not nice.
Yeah. Greg, how tall are you?
I call him fat and I get offended. I'm like, see, you don't like it. I didn't eat myself short, so knock it off. So
how tall are you, Greg?
5'1".
5'1".
Yeah. Most people are very, even if you're standing within 10 feet of me and I say that, people are still surprised when I say it because I don't present that way. But as I walk towards you, it's like an optical illusion. I just don't get any taller. It's just
objects in mirror appear closer.
Yeah, it's really weird. People are like, what are you, like 5'5"? I'm like, appreciate it. No, I am not 5'5".
Hey man, come to Taiwan. You'll be great.
Come on over. Before, yeah,
right. Man, I get on the subway and like legit, you can see end to end. I mean, like all the way to the far end. Like it's just, and occasionally just a random head popping up. You're like one of the. So,
wow. Greg, I got to ask, what did you do in the Army?
So when I was in the Army, actually, if you look, oh no, you can't see. It's out of frame. I was for the first 6.5 years, I was on the M1 Abrams. I was on.
Okay, I was going to say tank crew. Absolutely.
Yeah. I was,
all day.
Which is really funny because people are like, "Oh, he must have been great at that." Actually, I was a little too short for it. So everything that I had to do. So normally, like if you're in a loader's hatch or when I was in a TC's hatch, I was a tank commander. Normally you sit, and most guys will sit. You can arms like this on the outside of the tank if you're sitting up on top. I used to have to stand up on the back of the seat in order to prop myself up like that. Otherwise, I was here, and you just can't ride here. So I had to figure it out.
Yeah.
So I learned great balance in the tank, just being able to manage myself. Because when you're up top, you're controlling things too. So as a loader, that you've got a 240 that is on a skate ring. I can't be holding it like this, hoping I hit something, And as a TC, I got to be able to turn around and look over the back of the hatch. So I have to be up. So I'm literally 1 foot up on the ledge, another foot up, on the back of the seat, folded up. And yeah, I had to do all. It was a bit of a challenge, but you figure it out. I mean, look, I still, if I'm trying to get the top plates, I got to climb on the counter. So I'm very used to this stuff. It's not.
So you were in like what, post Iraq?
I was in from 91 to 99.
Okay.
Yeah, the last 3.5 years I was a recruiter in Cuyahoga Falls, Ohio, which when they sent it to me, I had no idea how to pronounce that.
Okay.
And actually, believe it or not, you have heard of it because if you've ever seen the movie Tommy Boy, believe it or not, that's Yep.
McAllister.
That's the town in Tommy Boy?
Cuyahoga, yeah, they're in Cuyahoga Falls. Yeah, it's super funny. I was like, oh my god. But yeah, I was in a tank accident prior to me doing that. I compressed my 5 lumbar vertebrae, and it just wouldn't, like they just couldn't figure out why I was still falling down. Like could be fine for a long time, and then all of a sudden I would just fall down. Nerve endings would, it would all go shot. Oof. So at one point they're just like, hey, by the way, nah. I'm like, what do you mean, nah? Like, yeah, you're off you go. You can sign a waiver and stay. And I'm like, no, I'm smarter than that.
Yeah. It's like, you're gonna let me out? All right, later.
So I would have been happy. Like, I'd still be in if they'd let me. I loved it. I really did. But there was no, I kept having to go on profile, so I was stuck at E5 promotable. So I never even got to make my 6. All these different things. If they could have fixed me, great. But I wasn't signing a waiver. That's just dumb. That just means I can't ever claim that injury.
Right.
That's a debilitating injury. So I was like, yeah, no, I don't think that's going to happen. Well, yeah,
wow.
I mean, it was a hard out, and it took me a little while to figure it out. And then eventually I went into IT. My grandfather told me if you ever retire early, you want to do something you love, you want to go back to work, do something you love. So I went to IT and did the next 21 years in IT. And then one day started playing with toy guns. That was it. So you did IT, something technical prior, right?
Yep. That was most of my career. I did IT, started off PC tech, you know, just break fix at fixing people's PCs at a company. And actually before that, technically I was actually Best Buy. Well, before there was Geek Squad, I was Best Buy. And then I worked for Black & Decker as IT. Black & Decker, Porter Cable, developed a bunch. It was all kind of the same company. And then I got a job for what eventually became Oracle, but it was Sun Microsystems, then Oracle. But it was the previous company, and I did storage, like those big tape robot libraries. Those massive ones. So just go grab the tapes with the arms and stuff. If you ever watch the movie Eraser with Arnold Schwarzenegger in it, the scene where they're all blasting with those huge robotic arms, those are that's the equipment that I used to work on.
You are something funny. The last 3/4 of my career was data protection and disaster recovery.
There you go. Business continuity, data protection, disaster recovery. So I
worked for.
That was it. I did that.
I NASDAQ. I worked for GE. I worked for Xerox Global. I worked for Arthrex. And that's exactly what I did until it was no longer about people. It was about data. And I'm like, I'm out.
Yep. And that was definitely the my case too. I ended up becoming, I moved up too high and just became a manager. And at one point I had like 42 people working under me in different roles, like just different organizations. I became service delivery, and it's just, you lose the fun when you stop working on the stuff.
Yep.
You know, it's kind of like Airsoft. Like, I think for me, the best part's like teching, like fixing the guns and tinkering, and, you know, whether it's HPA or, you know, an AG or GBBR or whatever it is, like modifying. I think that's what one of the coolest parts of Airsoft is.
Greg Patches Smith. Very rude. Sorry to interrupt you guys, but hey, dial it
Look
back.
At unrecognizably old. I know.
That's a buddy from KC.
Yeah, I know that name. I know that name.
He was, speaking of Mako team. Now we can bash on old Greg Patches Smith a little bit. That he was he was like the right hand guy over there with old Bobby Grissinger.
That's right. I remember now.
Yeah,
man. I'm looking. Yeah, I got the mid-age crisis. Tie my hair back. I have to shave my beard short because it's all half gray now. Hey, at least my hair's natural color though. I haven't dyed that yet.
That ain't bad. That ain't bad.
Still, I'll take one out of 3. Yeah, man, I'm not. I don't have the face for YouTube anymore. It's definitely. But yeah, but IT was the world, man. I did that, and that was my like kind of where I got my start. And then eventually, I left that job to do YouTube. And at that point, I think I was making like $3 a day on YouTube. I was making like $3 a day at the time. And I'm like,
I thought you actually were doing more. That's why. I remember you telling us you talked about it to some extent on one of the Airsoftologies. I thought I remember you talking something. That's how I knew you did IT.
Yeah. I was doing. Yeah. No, in IT, I was making great money. I mean, I was a director,
especially data protection,
a Fortune 500 IT company. So it's like, you're doing good. And then I'm like, I'm leaving. So when I bailed out of that, it went down to like, I mean, literally. I mean, I'd saved up. It sounds dramatic, but you know, I'd been planning my exit for well over a year, saved up. I mean, never had kids, so at that point, you know, there was 2 incomes in the house. My ex, and we were both poor. So it was well planned.
Yeah.
But I made that huge leap of faith, and I think that's probably one of the best things I ever did was, if you get away from your security blanket, you'll find a way.
Yep, 100,000% agree. Absolutely.
Yep. I mean,
burn the ships.
Yeah, burn the ships. It's true. I mean, like you kind of figure it out, and at the time, it's so stressful. It's so scary. Like any kind of massive change like that. I mean, all of us here. I mean, like you doing it, Nigel. All of us here. I mean, all of our stories have this component to it. But like when you look back, you're like, why was I worried? Like what was the big deal? But at the time when you're in it, it feels so real. It feels so scary. But
when they convinced me to do it, literally was during COVID. You know, I was like just right at the beginning of COVID. I'm like, whatever. My fiance's like, are you crazy? I'm like, I mean, we'll be fine. How do you know that? I'm like, because I just do. I don't know. It'll probably make money. She's like, what are you talking about? I'm like, it'll probably do okay. We'll figure it out. And worst case scenario, I have the building for a year and I'll just turn it into because I own a coffee company too. And I roast my own beans and all that. So I was like, worst case scenario, I'll just convert it to a cafe. So what? you know?
Yeah, we'll figure it out.
And she's like, oh my God. And I'm like, and as I'm still able to take care of my end of the bills every month, she's like, okay. You know, eventually 3 years later, you know, it being my primary source of income, you know, I mean, it's base airsoft. So no, I'm not making millions by any means, but I love waking up every day. I love what I get to do every day.
Now the coffee thing, can I get your coffee at the new field coming? Are you going to have maybe some kind of combat themed coffee option?
So I actually, even in my little store, like my showroom is about roughly 450 square feet. That's it. That's all my showroom is right now. In that showroom, there is a bar, legitimate bar. On it is a $16,000 super automatic that is filled with my beans. And if you come in and you're hanging out, I'll offer you, you know, an espresso or a cappuccino or whatever.
That's cool.
Right there. So it was a big deal to me to have the new place actually putting a cafe in. I'm putting a full cafe. It's a heat and eat, you know, so I don't have to worry about getting certain licenses and stuff.
Oh yeah.
But
that'll get you.
Have my there'll be, you know, a coffee bar for sure. I have all the equipment and then some. You know, I've said it 100, if not 1,000 times. If I could find somebody I trusted enough to be me, to take care of my community, to take care of the people here, to do all of this, I would walk away from this in a heartbeat and open up a cafe.
Right.
That's where my true heart is. But I will never leave this because of what it means to me and what the people mean to me, and what I've grown through. I'm not walking away from that and leaving it hanging. I will absolutely make sure people are taken care of. There's just no way I'll let that happen. So, but not about me.
I'm enjoying this. Like, absolutely entertaining learning.
This was my. I mean, the only part about this, like I said, I'm going to fanboy out and all that. The part about this was both of you were very much either inadvertently or unknowingly part of my entire growth track. It absolutely were. Nigel, I don't know if you know the role you played in it. You know, me talking to you, I would hang up the phone and say, that was Nigel. Like, I would be, it was a big deal to me. And not even because of the YouTube thing. It was, you worked for this company that everybody knew, and you were this guy. It was that should have been out of reach. And I had real person talk with you. And I, at points that there was advice. Hey, look at this, or think about doing this, or maybe, you know, field BBs this way and guns this way. And they're taking notes, you know, and it all went, you know, that without you guys, there would have been a gap that wasn't filled for me. So going through all that put me in a position where I was, made me think about what I wanted to do and how I wanted to do it. And I could ask questions. And again, Nigel, you were a live answer machine. I could call you and be like, hey, tell me about this. You know, there was a time, the whole BB thing, when all that was going on,
right?
Elite Force and everybody else.
The BB wars, literally the battle of the BB brands.
And actually, Jonathan, you did a whole thing on that. And I remember that was a big deal to me too. Watching that, right. You did a 2-parter.
You're talking about that. I don't want to.
I'm not. Yeah, I'm just saying.
Talking about that brand. Okay.
Will you make a patch like veteran of the BB Wars?
Yeah, veteran BB Wars. And have like a biodegradable symbol with a big red line across it.
Just little BB sitting on the ground, just deteriorating. Yeah.
Have a nuclear mushroom cloud, and then the BBs are still there.
Oh my god!
That's all that survived.
Yeah.
For those that don't know, you got to go way back.
Yeah.
Listen, I'm telling you, by the way, just so I don't know if you've noticed, you could bring up an episode, and I could probably tell you something about that. I may not remember the whole thing, but I've watched so many of them, and they all resonated because of that.
Well, what's interesting about BBs, I don't want to stir up too much of this old story. By the way, there's a lot more. If we want to talk offline, there's a lot more to that story I never released. You wouldn't believe the documentation I have that I collected and had a conversation with said person about that immediately got me blocked by them. So I was like, he was like, why are you doing that? I'm like, what about this, this, and this? And it was just like block. I'm like, okay, I guess it's all true. So anyway, I won't go down that path. By the way, I see Starseed. Well, talk about a name I haven't seen in forever. Freaking Starseed Airsoft, man. Hexter, man, good grief. I didn't even know your full, I didn't know your name aside from like, all I knew was Starseed Airsoft. I didn't know you had another name attached to that. But BBs, it's weird because like there's only like honestly like three. There's a little more than three, but there's like three companies that make all the BBs.
Yep.
So everybody's like, this is my favorite brand. This is my favorite brand. It's cool. It's cool.
I only know of two.
Brand loyalty is awesome.
Two of the majors.
But odds are it's coming all out of and I'll tell you, one of two places is probably 80%. 80 to 90% of this industry's BBs are made in two places.
BLS. BB King and BLS, right?
Yeah. Mm-hmm. And there's a third. And it's all based in spec. So you just like, well, what do you want? How much polish? This. So there is some secret sauce. I'm not discounting the fact that one brand is better than that. It's not like they're all popping out of the same mold and that's it. You know, you just throw your label on the bottle.
And some are swept off the floor and some are taken from the top shelf.
Exactly.
I mean, it's all coming off the same.
Yeah, like what weight do you want? How do you want it, polished, how do you want it, all this stuff? Like how many layers of polish do you want it essentially to make it better? But at the end of the day, they're all coming from essentially the same spot. So
yeah, we've said that several times. We've talked about, we've even had streams on it. There's very few because it takes a massive proper factory to do that piece, which I find hilarious because there's guys like, I'm going to 3D print my BBs. I'm like, you have fun with that.
Good luck with that one.
I'm pretty good at 3D printing and CAD, things like that. You go ahead and see how well that works out for you. You're not going to find much success in that.
No. Jason Tom, somebody with glass BBs. So I remember Jag Precision under the Mad Bull brand. It was Mad Bull at the time, which was Simon. Which is actually the guy who owns Strike Industries. He's got rid of Mad Bull and the licenses all went to Evic, sold them there. But Simon he had two prototype BBs. I remember he sent me some bags at the time. One was, I think it was a very soft metal. It was like not aluminum, but it was something where it was smushable with a hammer and glass.
It was like silica, right?
No. This was legit glass. So these were legit. God. So I had two little plastic baggies that came from Mad Bull. One was like, I want to say it's like, it wasn't lead, obviously, but it was like super soft. Like graphene? It was like a graphene or a 10. They used a 10 alloy or something. But because you could smash it with a hammer, it would flatten out. Like you could flatten them to like a relatively good disc if you wanted to.
The Mad Bull 5.0s had graphene in them. I know that.
I will tell you for a fact, most BBs, once you get to about a 3, they have graphene in them. And coming from someone who's tried to take a bottle of BBs through your carry-on luggage, let me tell you what happens when you have a bottle of, let's say, Milsim Max 3.32s. You know what those show up? No, it was 2.8s. It was the big bottle of 2.8s from Elite Force. I think it was the 2.8s or it was 3s maybe. I can't remember, but I had like 2 in my carry-on bag. I was taking, and I go through security, and I'll get back to the metal BB story in a second. And the guy's like, "Who's got the bottle of ball bearings in his bag?" Of course, imagine that going through. What are you talking about?
Oh God!
And he's like, "I'm like, is this your bag?" I'm like, "Eh." And he opens it up. I get 2 because I was overweight, so I just like, I'll take them out. My check bag, so I was overweight. I'll throw them in my carry-on bag, put them on the plane. Of course, obviously, something that looks like ball bearings is pretty scary for a TSA agent. And then they open up, they go through it, and then a guy, I'm trying to explain it to him, and this guy comes over, "Oh, it's Airsoft BBs. I know what those are." I'm like, "Yeah," because on the X-ray they show up as metal.
Right.
Wow. Yeah.
Because of the graphene content. Yeah. So
I didn't know that anything under I thought it was 4s. I didn't know that anything under 4 had graphene in it. I know when it got
most of them
density, you had to start adding the heavier the graphene.
Yeah, I think it was I think it was 3. I think it was the 3.2s.
That would yeah.
I think it's the Milsim Maxes is what I had. I'm trying to remember what I had. I'm pretty sure it was the time I was using the 3.2 Milsim Maxes. But once you get up to like the 3s-ish, now some of those, when you get to 4s, they're like, you can put a magnet next to them.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's what the Mad Bulls for sure, the 0.5s.
Oh yeah.
I watched one, because I had some magnets, and I watched one go, and just kind of moved its way across the desk, and I was like, what the hell just happened?
Yeah. Like, I think the content of the other ones, and it might be a different metal they use, or a metal powder, like an aluminum powder or something. I don't know what it is. But all I know is this. I don't know what the content is in the BB. I know it will show up as metal ball bearings on a TSA checkpoint scan. So don't carry on a bottle. Just check them.
Noted.
But yeah, the glass BBs, I remember that Tom was talking about. They never went to market, for obvious reasons, glass and metal. But they were sure interesting to shoot. Then remember the 0.28 bio, or the 0.27 silica BioVal BBs.
The BioVal, yeah, that's
BioVal back in the day. I still have a bag of them somewhere
because they're never going to deteriorate. They're never going to degrade. Yeah,
I still have a full bag. DED USA, and it was back at that point. It was there was 2 owners. One is actually still makes BBs. And that's the U.S. side, and then the which is and then the other one was he was out of Europe. He was out of France, or I think it was France or Switzerland. Can't remember. Anyway, Stefano Valentino was his name, and he ended up working for Cybergun. He ended up leaving and going to Cybergun. That's where Cybergun got BioVal brand from, because he sold the brand to Cybergun Europe.
Makes sense.
Yep, super cool dude. In fact, he was like on the very first show. Like our second podcast was like BioVals, all about the BioVals and stuff.
It was a good name. You know, they hit the market pretty hard. I do have to ask you, Greg, air tank. You checked the air tank.
So here's the thing. Yeah. So I found out. Oh, I didn't find it out. It was my first time traveling. I went to Starburst, Operation Starburst down at Fort Hood, and I will forever call it Fort Hood. By the way, I don't care whatever they renamed it. I was stationed there. Armada. Yeah. I will forever call it Fort Hood. But we flew down to Starburst, and I got to my hotel room, and I had it all. I had a big Plano bin, a bunch of guns in there, everything like that, and I wrote a note that says Airsoft on it because they're going to go through it anyway. I just wanted to save them some time. And I had a Tipman at this time, so I had just a Tipman 10. Didn't know. I mean, I drained it. You know, I emptied all the air out of it. I didn't know any better though. That you couldn't check it, right?
So they take it.
And I open it up, and there's a note that's from TSA. That I'm like, oh, so I call them, and like I called back to the airport. I'm like, hey, oh yeah, you can't bring it. So can you hold it, please? I'll be back in 2 days. They're like, they held it for me. Sat and had a conversation with TSA. You can bring your tanks if you take the bottle regulator off.
Yeah, Leo just did. Take the reg off.
If it's open, yep, take it right. Yeah. Now, but that's the thing. Hang on, Leo. The bottle regulator. A lot of guys, when they hear HPA, they think the regulator.
Basically, you have to be able to put your finger in the bottle.
You have to be able to put your
down the hole,
restricting the air. If you do that, you can even have them sit next to each other. They don't care. As long as it's removed, you're okay. You pack as many bottles as you want. I did not know that, so luckily I packed an AEG as well, and showed up. And my primary, which was my Tipman at the time, not able to use that. And I wasn't going to go buy a tanker. And this was my second milsim ever. I played one Operation Overwatch 4 from what was Doomsday back then. And then I flew to Texas with Doomsday. Tiny was part of Doomsday, and got there, and I was like, So, yep. So,
the stress. I've never done it.
I've always checked mine as firearms.
I've always just mailed mine ahead, luckily.
I've always checked mine as firearms.
I've got buddies that go to like Milsim West and fly the country. And, off record, I'll say or any event some of these guys go to. And I'll be like, so you check it as a firearm? They're like, nah.
No, you don't have to.
I just put it in my luggage, and like, I'll take take the upper receiver off and just put it in my luggage.
Yep.
Okay. I've seen people just get destroyed. Lamar, remember Lamar? Remember him?
Sounds familiar.
He used to. I don't know if you ever played with him. Like
Was
Cliff
he from the gang back in. Okay.
He's from the gang, yeah, back in Nashville. He was like ex pro paintball player way back in the day. Older dude like us. And I remember his AG got wrecked by TSA because he did that. Like, it's just dumb luck, right? They like pushed in when you pull back, to get the access to the hop up and all that. They like jammed in there trying like, what's this? Crushed it all in, like broke it, like all the stuff in there, dented like part of the, I don't know what they did. They took the receiver off. They dented part of the cylinder. I mean, they got hardcore with this thing. They like absolutely savaged his gun. And we had to like tech it. I think it was for one of the Copperhead games too. It was one of the big events we went to. But I always, like I said, from the beginning, I was just checking as a gun.
We did an entire stream on this. Again, it's a whole another one about how to travel with it. And technically speaking, you don't have to claim it as a firearm. Technically speaking, you don't. Mm-hmm. I've told everybody, separate the upper and the lower. That way they can instantly see that there's an airsoft barrel in there, that there is no firing mechanism. If it's a gas blowback, separate more than that, and always put a note in that says airsoft. So when they do open it up, and don't lock it. Listen, if you lock it, they're just cutting your lock. So don't bother. Get something that has clamps, but don't lock it because they're just going to cut the lock, so it doesn't matter.
But if you check as a firearm, you have to lock it. But you have to do it after they inspect it.
After they inspect it, right? Yeah. They'll when they open it up, they'll see the note says airsoft. They will gingerly check it versus aggressively checking it because it says airsoft. They're expecting to see it as airsoft. They look at and this all comes from conversations with TSA. So but I tell people, listen, act as if you don't want them to destroy your stuff. That's the easiest thing.
Sure.
Give them no reason to have to check through it. That's how you do it.
Yeah. Makes sense.
Yeah. Yeah. So Jason has a question, but I'm trying to get. For me, it was important to get your timeline out there for anybody that's listening. For me, I kind of know. I mean, there's details I obviously don't know, but where you came from and where you went and where you are now. That's where both of you are now together, and where you came from, kind of like this, and then a little like this, and then now you're here, which is how I have found this entire community nationwide, worldwide. That's how I've actually found it to be. You meet people, and as a community, you come together, and people end up supporting you. You support them. You do those kind of things, and it's eventually you can have, whether it's those businesses or that support, or I've found people that do things that I don't. All of my video and all of my photos are done by somebody else because I'm terrible at it. I'm the worst marketer you could ever meet. And the Army spent $1 million on me to teach me how to do it. I was terrible at it. So I don't bother anymore. I have people who love to do it. By all means, here you go. Thank you very much.
Well, that's smart as a business owner. I mean, you have to know in any business, you got to know your limitations and when not to do it. And that's why Nigel and I are together, because I am the worst salesperson ever. Can I do it? Yeah, a little bit. It's painful, but am I good at it? No. Am I, I would much rather be strategizing or creating, that's where I whirl. And then you got a guy like Nigel who's creative, but also a freaking awesome sales dude. But sales isn't sales. The thing is, the best salespeople, and I'm going to count on Nigel here a little bit. It's just, honestly, like you said, just being friendly. Just
a lot of it.
Genuinely caring, not fake caring. Otherwise, you come across like you're a used car guy, right? Mm-hmm. Like, hey, you want to buy this used car? Yeah, I swear it's low miles. We didn't roll the odometer back.
Yeah.
But, it's just genuinely, honestly giving a crap. And that's the secret. There's no other secret than that, and just check in. Just be true, genuinely care, and genuinely check in.
Yeah, that's really, I was thinking to myself, you guys were talking about your connection of doing the background of IT, and the whole time I'm just like, I've been selling cars my whole life before Airsoft. How you doing? But even cars to Airsoft or whatever, it's a people business, right? Being personable, being able to provide that value of the product that you're trying to sell, right? Mm-hmm. Just analyzing the problem or the want and trying to fulfill it the best you can without getting sideways. That's what it's all about. And right now, let me tell you, BCM licensed products has some of the very attractive prices that you've ever seen.
Attaboy.
Ask your local retailer. Yeah.
Yes. It can be found.
Your local retailer to anybody watching this stream is more than likely me. So
deadairsoft.com. You can
there you go.
Yeah.
We are actually launching a new website. We are currently deadandoutfitters.net, and we're actually moving over to DEOairsoft.com. So, it's everything that we have is past. It was stuff that was thrown together, shoestring budget kind of stuff, and then we built on that. And from IT, if the foundation wasn't strong and you just kind of kept going, eventually it's going to just be garbage on garbage.
Yeah,
so but
then you're so far deep in it, you're like, I don't want to rebuild this.
I've got my IT guy. I've got my web guy, because that's the only thing. Web and database things I never mess with. I don't care. Programming, nope, thanks. He's building it, and again, real quick, he watched the stream. God, 2.5 years ago, almost 3 years ago. Toucan and I just doing a stream with it, and sent me a message. Never met him in my life. Sent me a message. Hey, I love what you're doing for the community. I love your outlook. I love everything like that. Your website sucks. He's like, I'd love to fix it for you. And I'm like, it's one of these. And he goes, and I don't want anything for it. He goes, I want to do a pro bono because I want to help you more in the community. I'm like, all right, I at least got to talk to this guy a little bit. And so we went back and forth, and 3 years later, he's still with me, and we've gone from this barter pro bono, let me build you a gun, like for doing the work you did too. I'm like, hey, I actually want to pay you now because things are kind of ramping up. Let's do it for real. So he's sorry.
Yeah,
I saw that.
So
get your plugs in. Get your plugs in, boys.
Nigel, I told you about it. I don't think you've seen one, right? Have you seen it?
I've seen some pictures of stuff. I'm not sure what version you have, but like
I have the only one that matters.
Okay, then it must have been yours.
Yeah, I designed. Jason is the one who actually asked me one time, because I try to. Dead and Outfitters is where we do things with style. That's our big thing. It's not dress right dress. It's not hard corners. I do everything with style. You'll never find me design a gun where an HPA gun where the line comes out of the hand grip. That's just dumb. To me, it's a terrible place to put it. I do forward assist HPA, like it goes in the forward assist port. I do buttstock stuff. That came out wrong. But Jason asked me one day, he's like, probably think you could make a oil filter suppressor. I'm like, yeah, why not? So I went down and started drawing one out, and now I got one all the way over there. It unthreads. It opens up inside. Threaded inside is a TPU, so it's a rubberized baffle. You can unthread the baffle, and it will thread in a tracer unit. And when you thread it back together, if you've got like a flame effect tracer unit, it actually lights up all the holes on the bottom of the suppressor. So,
by the way, ATF, if my ATF agent is listening, we're talking about Airsoft here, not real life.
This is in Roblox.
Just for my own private ATF agent that's assigned to monitor me.
I would
just be known.
I would challenge anybody. It will absolutely explode if you were to try to put this on a real steel. It's carbon fiber, which makes it durable for airsoft. But first of all, it's not wide. It might be wide enough for like a very small caliber. But if you tried one shot and it just it would absolutely.
Did you print this you printed this?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
Yeah. So I have a couple of printers back here.
It's funny. That's mine printer right here. That's my plate build. One of my build plates just hanging off the side right there. I got a bamboo behind me. Yeah.
You got a Race 3D dual IDEX and a bamboo P1.
You got a bamboo there. I see the I haven't bought they were out of the the feeder.
Yeah. So the bamboo is primarily
this is the carbon right here.
Yeah, I got the one and mine. I've got the hardened nozzles and stuff to do carbon on this one. That's primarily my prototyping machine.
Nigel's like, I got a curio behind me. Get some really nice dinnerware.
Yeah. Call it
getting off camera.
A mausoleum.
Yeah.
I did fill in with Magic Eraser. I never thought about using Magic Eraser as a sound deadening foam.
That's actually what.
Oh yeah.
That's actually what it's like right there. And obviously, we actually imprint the logo on it. It actually prints with the logo. So and it's counterclockwise threaded. So this being one of the prototypes, I could
see that being successful as like the meme part. You know what I mean? That like everyone's like, oh, I need to get one of those.
It works. It actually functions. Like it does. In
Roblox.
Muffle. And I made it so it does thread counterclockwise 14 millimeter. So you can have it on there. And on some guns, it looks fantastic. Some guns it looks ridiculous, but on some guns,
the whole point is it's supposed to be Look That's the best part.
Yeah, absolutely. We're actually talking about. I just printed one the other day, making the lower half orange.
Yes.
And the top half black.
You gotta yeah.
Yeah,
like a Fram or one of those or something.
Well, it's funny. It's so instead of Fram, we came up with Blam. Instead of STP, we came up with Stop. Yeah. And then instead of Quaker State, we came up with Quake and Shake. So we're actually gonna put the stickers on it and stuff like that.
Yeah, get some oil on it, make it look dirty, you know.
Yeah, well, and that's so. The only one that's in there out in the wild right now is the one that Jason has. He got the very first finished prototype because it was his idea, and his actually instead of having our logo has the Dark Horse 6 logo on it.
Nice.
Because again,
if you want to get into production on this thing, hit me up. You know, I kind of know some people that do good plastic work over here.
Yeah. So we do make them like we prototype out of like PLA and stuff, but we do and they are finished in carbon. I have my own proprietary gearboxes for HPA. They're all out of carbon. So if you've ever done either like a CGS, UGS stock or a Wraith stock, you actually have to cut the back half of your gearbox off with an angle grinder. So instead, I designed a gearbox that doesn't have that. And so when guys want to come in, they want to have that done, but they don't want to do that kind of work. I just, here you go. Here's your drop in.
Nice.
I've done that. It's all of it. And guys were saying before, listen to the community. This is all I'm looking at people. I'm like, most people who want this don't know how to do this, and this doesn't exist. So find a need, fill a need, you know, and that's where I've rolled for years. And that's how the D-Hop came about. Aha, shameless promotion. The number one patched barrel on the market today, 4 years running. I will. Our guarantee has been, if you find a better patched barrel anywhere on the market, I'll buy it for you. Nigel has one. He's played with it. He's tested it, and it is. I'm finally at a point where I will actually talk about it. It was years before I would talk about it. Everybody else did. But it is it's a proprietary compound. Our processing and post-processing of it and everything like that is what makes it as good as it is. It's not Sugru. It's not silicone. It's not any of that. It's a much more viscous yet much more durable material. And we put it against every single barrel on the market. Every patch barrel, any kind of patching we've done. I've done some. I bought umbrellas. I did all that. Now they're all good. Don't get me. They're good. They increase your range and accuracy, but not like a D-Hop. So if you're still playing, Jonathan, I will ship you out one.
Don't ship it as Airsoft here. Ship it to something else. Actually, send it to Nigel.
If he doesn't have.
Yeah, let him grab it because
he's got one already.
I've got mine.
Yeah.
We need to make sure we get you one that's BCM length.
Yeah, well.
Yeah. The I'm coming in briefly in next month.
Oh,
to
right.
the States. Yeah. I'll be on the West Coast for another thing. But I need to come East Coast and I need to come Florida. I was just there a couple months ago. Actually, maybe a little longer than that. But I'll be back in Florida. So when I'm back in Florida, because the warehouse is, not too far from you, we'll have to plan something.
Oh yeah, for sure. I mean, depending on how long it is, we get the keys August 1st to the building. By September 1st, my store's in there, and I want to be by December, but I know that's kind of lofty. But I have until the end of February to have the entire arena and everything built out and up and running. So depending on when we'll be in that whole new facility,
my guess is probably like late September through October, somewhere in there is when I'll be in. We'll and I'll be into the Florida area. I'll be, of course, home is Tennessee. And then my dad's in Georgia, Atlanta area. So I'll be Nashville, Atlanta, and then down to North Florida, but it's not too far to, if I'm driving, might as well drive.
I'll pick him up along the way. You guys both come on down.
Yeah. Grab you, just cruise through Arkansas.
Yeah, just come on over. It's not too far. What Nashville to Fort Smith is like what? 7 hours.
7 hours. I think. Yeah.
We'll see. Yeah,
I drive 7 hours. I'm still in Florida, so
yeah.
No, but yeah.
But I used to live in Tampa, so not too.
It's only not quite 2 hours away.
Yeah, not too far.
So you were still doing Airsoftology and moved over to Taiwan. I do remember when that happened. And it was, I don't know what, like a year and a half later, something like that, when you first got in with BCM. I remember the announcement. I'm trying to remember how long it was. I remember the announcement because I actually signed up when the first announcement came out. You're like, yeah, we're closing this because I'm doing this. And I was like, oh, shit, look at that.
Yeah, so I was here for a few years. I've been here for 6+ now.
Mm-hmm.
But my Chinese skills my Mandarin skills are terrible still. So you would never guess it. I can get around, but I can't. Deep conversations, forget it. It was probably, I'm trying to think now. So it was a good year plus, 2 years in the works, a year plus before I got my product. Product landed right during the vid, and that was like the worst time ever, right on the backside of the vid. And shipping containers, oh my God, I'm not going to get into that. The amount of money I spent on the container, it'll murder you. And for those who do shipping, you have to pay shipping fees. It's up front. So you're not only getting your product, and you got to before it even leaves, you're like, here's the money for the shipping. And then customs hits you when it gets on the backside. I think it's been quite a few years now. Maybe 4 years in the running, 3-4 years since it's been in the baking.
I guess I didn't realize it was that long. Yeah.
Because I'm trying to think when they officially announced it here. Go back to my channel. I have to always look at my channel, look when I drop videos. Look at my stuff and see. Airsoftology. Because I haven't put up a video in a long time.
And for anybody that's still on, that's been hanging out with us, appreciate it. There's no set end time for this one. We're hanging out till somebody's got to go. And my fiance is actually up in New York right now for 2 years, so I don't have a bedtime.
You don't have a bedtime.
So you guys. But one of the things that I'm trying to emphasize during all this is, if at some point you're playing and you are absolutely in love with this and what you do and what it means to you, there's nothing that says you can't become a bigger part of it and do something in it. One of the proudest things I got to do was I hired full-time someone who's always wanted to work in Airsoft, and I got to hire him. In 4 months, I'm going to get to hire about 7 more people who want to work in Airsoft, and that's super cool being able to give that opportunity. You both know what it's like to actually be able to move into it, do it as a living, and truly be a part of it.
Yeah, it's interesting. It's always the best thing to be able to do something you enjoy as a job, as a career, and then help other people manifest their dream of doing the same thing. So, but yeah, no, back in the day, 4 years is probably the project. Just 3 years ago was the announcement. So,
yeah, I guess that's right. Yeah, because I was still in the old building. I remember seeing it come through, and I was like, "What?"
I'm trying to think when I got it. I'm trying to think when it came in though, because it took forever. It was like 2-3 months on the water. It was such a mess,
dude. It was during the worst time ever.
I'll tell you right now. I spent. I'll tell you. I'll be wide open. Customs fees plus container, 140-foot container. This is the peak. Normally a container's $6K, $7K, 5, 6, 7.
Yeah,
on a 40-footer, $6-7K if you want to go. And again, remember I'm landing on East Coast, so you got to add a little bit of extra to go through the Panama Canal. I paid with tariffs. God, it was just shy of $40,000.
Oh my God.
With my tariffs, which is like $17,000 in tariffs, or $18,000 in tariffs, and then the rest was shipping, so almost 30.
But this was
20,
this is like
peak pandemic,
right in the middle of it, where there's 100+ ships off San Pedro to get into California.
Yeah, they were backed up in the port of LA. Yeah, it was a mess, and and they were just queued up going through the Panama Canal, and it was also a pain in the butt too, because in my situation, a lot of the East Coast ports won't take airsoft, and I didn't learn that until much later. So I'm like, oh, I'm in Florida, I got a port right there in my city. I'm in Jacksonville. I can just land it in the port of Jacksonville and send it in. Nope, Port of Jacksonville won't take it. Miami won't take it. Nobody will take it. Charlotte was it Charlotte or Charleston? Charleston. Port of Charleston was the closest one that would take airsoft.
Wow.
And then CBP absolutely tossed my container.
Oh God.
So when I got it in the warehouse, then I got to figure out what's on what pallet, because everything's all packed and perfect. And everything's this pallet A, pallet B, C, D. You know, all your pallets and your SKUs and the other. And they literally cut everything, tossed it, and just jammed it back in there and locked the door. And so nothing was where it was. I'm like,
wow.
Yeah. So I just spend even more time and money redoing everything, because they weren't used to getting airsoft there.
Right.
So they were like, oh, we need to check this fully. And then they charge you for a full inspection. The inspection was $1,500.
Yeah, for that price, they're going to work you over pretty good. They don't just want to open a couple boxes. They're going to do it all for you.
Well, here's the other kicker. So for those that want to do import, I'll kind of give you a window in the world. So then after they do that, so they hold you. So you usually have your final mile, what they call it, your ground freight, to pick it up at the port, take it to your final destination. So you have that truck scheduled. Again, peak pandemic, all the trucks are scheduled, delivering all kinds of crap.
Of course, yeah.
And everybody's heading up 95 north on the East Coast. I'm trying to go 95 south bound, right? So I'm going the opposite way of where all the trucks are headed. It was really hard to get a truck for that distance down to Jacksonville. And I had it all scheduled. Everything's good. All planned with your freight forwarder shipping, all the people that are involved in the process. And then when customs gets it and holds it, they held it for 4 days before they got to my turn to get mine tossed. And then as soon as it's done, it's like, okay, we're done. And you got to get it now. Otherwise, it's $700 a day for every day you leave here. I'm like, huh? They're like, yeah, now. And I'm like, but you didn't, because I asked them, I was like, well, how long is it going to take? They're like, we don't know. But then when they're done, they're like, oh, get it now. We're going to charge you for being on the line. I'm like,
oh my God.
So all the things you learn on your first, I'd never shipped a container before, right? This is learning experience. So now, of course, I've done enough. I'm like, all right, I know what I'm getting myself into. It's the process, but you live and learn when you do import export. And I was just a YouTube guy. I did IT stuff, and I'm sure I've shipped stuff into America, but not that level. And you learn the process. That's just what it is, and it's you can't get mad at anybody. That's the way things work.
Yeah, you're forging your own path. Whether it's been done before or not, is irrelevant. Nobody's doing it exactly like you're doing it, and you're trying to figure it out. For sure.
Anything can be solved with a positive attitude and throwing enough money at the problem.
And money, yeah.
Positive attitude and money will solve just about everything. So
having a negative attitude will cost more money, though. So
absolutely,
yeah. Don't try to fight it. It's just what it is. But no, it's good. I enjoyed it. That was a good learning experience, and it's helped a lot because we got, obviously we do the BCM stuff, also with the patches, the things like that I've been doing. So that's keeps us busy. Look, speaking of patches, what do you got my patch fiend thing? I mean, look at you. Got everything ready to go.
I try to be, listen, Toucan and I decided, like, when we were doing it, we've never tried to do anything with this stream. Like, we never pushed it out. Every time I've got a stream coming up, I just share it to all the groups I'm a part of, and that's it. Right? I don't try to do anything special. We don't edit it and then reshare it. It sits on YouTube, and the close I've done was I made a playlist, so you can look at all of the end of Airsofts, because that's the name of the stream we called it, because it's Dead End Outfitters, the end of Airsoft. Just play on words, whatever. Because we weren't trying to do anything. I'm not trying to make this my primary job of editing it all day long. It's not what I do, but I do try to add little bits and pieces. If we're interviewing somebody, I want to have their information. I want to make sure we do try to stay on track with some things, although stories happen. And this, obviously, tonight is
when you get the three of us.
Yeah, tonight's a different format. I didn't really care, but I still had some of the things, ready to shoot. I wanted to make sure I had, I've got the three majors that I had for you was, for Senpai, for the BCM, Patch Fiend, and I did actually have a link to the I don't know if you noticed it.
I saw the Airsoftology one come up. Yeah, I saw that one pop up earlier. Yeah.
So, and for any of you guys who have never, forget all the other ones that you're watching, go and watch the Airsoftology ones. There is a third person that very few people that I actually cared to meet. There's one more guy that I want to meet. So Nigel, if you know him, if either one of you guys know him, I'd be happy to have him on. Chris Balahak.
Oh yeah, call
really,
him right
Chris?
Yeah. Well, here's the thing. It's funny. I've heard different stories, different things. His online, and this is why it matters to me, because obviously field owner, guys come out to the field, kids talking to me, and now store owner, they come in and they're like, oh, I've watched all the YouTube videos. I know everything I need to know. Stop, right? And I ask them who they've watched and all that. Well, Chris's online presence, at least, is very he's very open, especially with the kids, and you see the stuff that he's done, and like I've watched videos where he's gotten shot, he does the fake death, and he calls the kid over and he hands him one of his patches, and that's what I like to see promoted.
Yeah,
obviously I've heard stories about, and I didn't get along with him when I met him. Well, you can get that from anybody, but I've also seen him do reviews and tests, and much like yourself, I've seen very non-biased reviews from him. Testing this
Chris
thing out.
Is good,
and
he's genuinely he's what you see.
Oh, it's what you
get. Yeah. I mean, everybody's gonna have like a weird. I mean, like you can catch anybody at a bad time, right? But Chris is absolutely what you see. His online persona is who he is.
Okay.
Yeah, that's not a show. It's not a game. It's not, for theater production or anything like that. I mean, the guy, there's a reason his community, his area, like the amount of people he brings and the way the players are working together.
Yeah.
Like, if you ever wonder, is he real? Look at the community.
Yeah.
Okay. Right? That's it. That's all you got to do.
You can't fake it that big.
Yeah. No. You can fake it for a little while. You can be the guy. I mean, there's a few shops and places, and especially fields. You'll see them. They blip and then they're just gone, right?
Yeah.
And they just don't last.
Yep.
But the real ones, the ones that are in it for the right reasons, you can't be where he is without being real and genuine and truly caring about the players. Just like we talked about what you want to do in your area and what you have done.
Yeah.
Growing out in the Cape Coral area, it's the same concept. You have to be real because people's BS meter it's on. And if you're not real, they'll get you. They'll absolutely catch you.
Yeah. Chris is man, that guy radiates his passion for what he does. And it's the same conversation that we have, that anytime me and Jonathan talk, or me and Greg talk, like any phone call I have with Chris, it goes way too long. You know, it'll be like 2-3 hours. I'm like, okay, I got to get back to my family. He's like, yeah, I'm sorry, man. But the guy's commitment and the level of integrity that he has, yeah, solid dude.
Yeah. There's my Boo Bear right there. Sorry.
Yep.
Chris Burr. That's my baby right there.
Oh, okay.
That's my Boo Bear.
He's got good memes.
Yeah. What's up, Chris? Yeah. Oh man. Chris is the only. He's of all the people that I've ever wanted to meet. The personalities, whatever you want to call them. It really was. I mean, I'm never gonna random trash him. Probably he's in the UK, so, and I don't even know what he's doing anymore. But yourself, obviously, and this has happened, which is awesome to me. You know, I'm a big believer in letting people know if they've made a change in your life, if they've done something for you. I'm a huge believer in that. When we interviewed Josh Warren, who has an outstanding online personality, he's you know.
Josh is colorful.
Yeah,
that's the politest, in a good way. I mean, I love Josh. I mean,
Well, here's the funny thing: is
he's colorful.
I never knew anything about him, right? Other than what you see online. Now, he and I had never had interactions online or anything like that, so I had no reason to believe either thing. I don't necessarily agree with the way he handles things, or even his community, handles things. But he and I never had anything. And when I decided to start doing these interviews, he was definitely one I wanted to have on because I thought, let's see what the reality is, And when he and I first started talking, one of the cool things was we have more things in common than I could have ever imagined.
Right.
He's a military guy too.
Military guy. He and I both did theater growing up, and he comes from a theater family.
His background is theater. Yeah, his family's theater.
Both played hockey, like all of these different. I'm like, son of a bitch. Now I gotta like him.
Now I can't hate you, man.
But when I had him on, he said something, and I made sure I shared this with him after the fact because he said something, and it stayed with me for a week straight, and it's still every day I think about it. He had said when he decided that Milsom West was going to be something, he decided that he was going to stop being afraid of being the best. And when he said that, if you watch the video when we're talking, he said that, I actually just went, because I believe I've always believed that if you talk about the things you do and do well, that's braggadocious, that's arrogant. It's I believe in being as humble as possible because you never know what the next person's been through or who they are, or what they're going to do, and you should meet them at their level and be able to be there for them. That's just who I'm. I'm a servant for the rest of my life. But when he said that, there's a difference. You can be the best at something, and it's okay. And the way he put it, I'd never heard anybody say it like that before. And it actually changed my entire behavior towards all of this over the past month or so. Since then, things have changed in my business, online, all of that. And I made sure to let him know. I thought it was important for me to let him know that he made that change in me. Just like I think I've said on more than one occasion to you, Nigel, what you've meant to me. If I haven't, I've said it in my head, and now I'm saying it openly. Aww. Careful, Christopher's on. He's gonna get you.
Yeah, he's gonna screenshot that.
But Jonathan, for you, I want you to know for real what it meant to me following you for all that time. And like, I listened very intently to every one of your shows because it mattered enough to me. So having you on was a big deal for me. But like I said, I think it's important.
Thanks. I think the hardest thing I ever did on this point, was knowingly finally say, okay, it's time to semi-retire from Airsoftology, because I never felt like the work was done. Right. I always I was like, we need more people to help bring people up in the community, because I would have people come to me all the time and say, I used to listen to you. And I'm saying this is when I was still making content, right? Still doing it. And I loved it when people would tell me that. And people are like, God, used to. Why are you like, it used to be, I don't watch you anymore. I'm like, no, that's the best thing I could ever hear, because it means I was never the expert YouTube channel. I was the help you get started and get you on your way channel. Mm-hmm. Right. And that was who I always wanted to be. Like, let me help you. Let me get you going. Let me help guide you, and you make your own decisions. But I want to do the best to share the things I've learned. They may not be always right, but I'll just kind of share them with you. And help you get on your way in the airsoft journey. And that was always the way I looked at it. And I loved when I hear people say like, oh man, I used to watch you. And I was like, look at that. I saw, I said Airsoft R Us. Speaking of used to, that is a feel. I still have the Airsoft R Us patch around here. I was going through my patch collection and I still have an Airsoft R Us patch around here. That was a long time ago, man. But it seems like not too long. And now it's like 8 years? Almost 9.
Yeah, 2016. You don't think it's that long ago, but you're talking about
the name wouldn't even make sense anymore because Toys R Us is gone. You know,
right?
What does it even mean?
No. We have Toys R Us here still.
Stop.
Really? No, they're in Taiwan. There's still There's 2 things. Ponderosa Steakhouse still exists.
Oh wow. Okay.
Legit, I'll get a photo for you. I'll take a photo.
That's
like legit, so and I actually ate at it. It's still the same, like the buffet.
Oh wow!
That still exists here. And then the Toys R Us is still here. I'll take a photo in front of. I'll go into Toys R Us.
Canada still has Toys R Us too, but
it's legit still here. And in Japan, I was just in Tokyo about 4 weeks ago, seeing Mitch from Chris USA Crytek, and we were hanging out. Went there, and there's actually Tower Records still there.
Oh wow!
Yeah, it's huge too. It's like 10 stories tall in Tokyo. There's still a Tower Records, and you can still go and buy CDs and records and everything. Yeah, it's pretty wild.
Oh my god!
Yeah, Asia has some legacy brands that have died off, but yeah, for real, Toys R Us, man. I'll get photos in front of the Taipei Toys R Us.
That's awesome.
So,
yeah.
But yeah, man, I appreciate it, dude. I mean, like especially toward the end, it was never about like, especially toward the end of Airsoft. You can't make money in Airsoft YouTube. You haven't been able to since probably 2016, back in that time, 2017. Anybody who's doing it now, absolutely bless them. Unless you're doing it for the controversy and the clout, you know.
There are those.
There's always. I mean, any industry is going to have that. I mean, it doesn't matter what you're in. You're going to have people that are in it for that. And I think every industry needs that in a weird way. You need those guys. You know, let the people who enjoy that have their outlet. But you got to do it. I mean, if you're not doing it for the right reasons, it's disingenuous, and people will see it. It's so easy to see through the BS. You can't fake it. Like, you know, Chris Ballhack. You can't fake it.
No, you can't. I keep throwing out videos because I'm stubborn. You know what I mean? I'll do it again. I'm too stupid to know when to quit.
Yeah. Well, I mean, do you enjoy making them?
I do.
Under the Dials, 46.
I like the art. You know what I mean? It's fun to me, right?
Then keep doing it. That's the best reason. Yeah. Do it because you want to do it.
Right.
Yeah. Like this year, this is just dumb, sitting, joking, laughing. And if I can give a nugget of information and help someone out, cool. If not, then I did it because I had a good time with a buddy of mine, or I got to do something like this. You know, finally like a face-to-face. Cool. It's it's talking about this thing that I'm embedded in. I am under the skin. I'm a tick. I'm absolutely a part of this thing, you know, and adding every bit I can, and maybe someday I'll actually use it to promote myself. It's still to this day, it usually takes someone like Jason to be like, oh yeah, make sure you get a D-hop or you know, make sure you get get the oil filter suppressor or something. Fine, okay, we'll do a little show, and you know, if I ever build it, I get a new gun and a gun. There it is, and I put it away. It's the closest I come. But I just like this.
Well, you got to be careful showing airsoft guns on YouTube.
That's true.
Do not, especially on a live stream. That's why you don't see any in the background right here. No, that's a quick way to get your live stream turned right off.
I don't know that I've had any kicked off yet. I've gone back and watched. I haven't seen any deleted or removed, and that's why I know I'm also
hold it up in the video live streams.
I think. Well, we haven't in a long time.
Don't.
We haven't in. I don't think I've held one up in a year, but
they'll almost insta boot you off.
Really, I have to go back and look and see. That's funny.
Yeah, it's in their filter.
Yeah, it's like a AI filter thing. Yeah,
yeah, they look for the silhouettes.
Yep. Oh my god.
Well, and I can't. Okay, this is one of the few. I will speak up because there's a lot of dumb things that the tubes and Facebook and all that done. This one, the reason behind this, somebody explained it to me. I was like, oh, that does make sense. I'll give them credit on this one. All right, I'll give a pass on a live stream. Specifically, I'm talking a live stream, not recorded videos. Recorded videos, you can put them up. They may not monetize them, but they're not going to take your video down for the most part. unless you're doing something like modifying or something that's against their TOS. They don't want people, how do I say this so we don't get self-deleting on camera?
Oh my, okay, all right.
So that's why they have
or
that in the filter. And I'm like, oh yeah, or spree. Yeah, good point. Spree. Yeah. So those reasonings, I can see why they have it in a filter to kick you off immediately. Like, does it look like this? See ya.
I was just talking with somebody that's wanting to start some shorts, right? Because that's where everything's going to, these small digestible things. A lot of growth in airsoft. These guys doing shorts on YouTube, just raw too, you know. But he was talking about, he's like, yeah, man, you know, if you can give me some pointers and stuff. I'm like, yeah. First of all, like, you can't show any component manipulation, right? And this is like for normal video. This is how to get suppressed, how to get no views. If you're flipping around from like safe to semi, if you're cocking a pistol, if you're charging a handle, if you're inserting a magazine, if you shoot in repetition too fast, right? Like there's all
full
these
auto
rules.
is actually
no
clearly in the terms of service. You can't.
It is. So here's the thing, is that YouTube says, you know, they're never going to come out and tell you the exact rules. They don't want you to know. They have rules
and they change all the time.
But their official response is that they're a worldwide company, not just an American company. And obviously America is where you have a lot of these gripes and situations about getting, you know, pooped on for gun culture. But they're like, yeah, the rest of the world, guns are basically restricted, you know, to a point. So it's kind of a weird deal, man. It's the future.
Yep.
And we're not there.
I just had again, community thing. After the thing I wrote yesterday, and you know, I put it up on the post as, you know, this is what happened, and I think it's ridiculous. Here's what I wrote. Please feel free to comment. A woman who owns a field in Ohio reached out to me and said, "Hey, we've been banned for months. I didn't know that there was a committee you could write an appeal to." Which a lot of people don't know, that once it's been taken down, they say it's been taken down, you can actually submit to a committee and write an actual statement about it. And she reached out and said, could you please? So she saw that as part of the community, and now she's all the way in Ohio. I don't know her, never met her, never even heard from her before.
That's awesome.
She reached out, thanked me, and I sent it out. The ironic thing is that it actually says in that submittal, though, is that because of the volume that they receive, they pick and choose which ones to actually address.
Yeah.
So they can choose to ignore you because they don't even want to.
Yep.
Wow.
Yeah. So there's a lot of that, and you know, like we started off saying, I'm not doing any of that there anymore. And the irony is that Meta owns both Instagram and Facebook.
Right.
But how come it's okay on Instagram but not on Facebook? Like
I'll challenge you this: go on IG and try to search for yourself.
Oh my gosh!
See if you show up in the recommended.
Right. I tried to search for a reseller.
Just search hashtag Airsoft and see how many posts show up. Yes,
don't
on IG. Just go. And just see, and see how many posts show up on hashtag Airsoft. 0. Try to search for yourself if you're an Airsoft channel or in your case retailer. That you even show up in the recommended list.
Wow.
No. Yeah. No, you're suppressed. You're totally you have to type the name perfectly. Yeah. So you have to type, like, if you want an Airsoftology, you got to type Airsoftology out and then hit go. It won't, like, as you start typing it, do an autofill. But if you're another brand like Mr. Beast will autofill, or whatever. All these will autofill. Anything gun or Airsoft related will not autofill. You're out of the recommended list. That's something. And I'll give a shout out to making me aware of this. Scott Hallenbach of US Airsoft, watching his video about IG suppression. He went in depth on this one. I think he posted like 2-3 months ago, and how his channel is getting crushed. But again, this goes full circle, I think, back to the conversation we had at the very, very, very beginning of the show. We really do need a representative organization in this industry.
Yeah.
Somebody who is semi-neutral has to come in and be that. The problem is from a when I say retailer, a major retailer standpoint, the big boys, the real big online retailers, we just look at the US, for example, you look at your Evix, your GIs, your mega stores, they don't really necessarily get, GI and Megastore do, but like the other two, they're hyper competitive.
Yeah.
Like hyper competitive against each other to the point where we have nothing to do with each other. We're not going to talk to you. It is war. It is bloody war. And you see that everywhere in a lot of industries where like the two big ones that are like trying really hard to make, like, there can be friendly competition, but in our industry and like many, it's bloody competition. And that's where it has to be. You can't expect like Evic to come in and say, okay, well, we're going to help create an organization, which would be fantastic. They're one of the bigger retailers, but then you have so many people to be turned off, or, let's say Megastore tries to do it, everybody be turned off. Or even if like Humorex, which I love Humorex as a company. I mean, fantastic. If they tried to do it, you'd have other brands like ASG be like, go pound sand. Right. So you have to have someone who's outside of that to be able to step in and be the one as a semi-neutral party to say, okay, we're going to create an airsoft organization and we want everybody to be involved with it. I know not necessarily everybody gets along. There's a lot of people that are hyper competitive, but we need everybody in on this so we can have a lobbying organization, someone like you said, to set the rules at fields. Yep. Like just universal field rules would be like a baseline where that universal insurance waivers, just the basic stuff you need, to get things going, helping like what you did. It took you to help another field halfway across the country understand how to submit an appeal on a social media site. Like we need a social media appeal guide and a group that can do that and assist people. Like, hey, do you need help with this? Here is our white paper that we've created with our real world experience of 500 fields and shops that have dealt with this.
Yep. No, I agree. Years ago, I created I bought the domain and created North American Airsoft and Milsim Association, and haven't brought it out yet because both of you have definitely seen in your career and your time in Airsoft how many have come out to try to do something like that, but it comes out half cocked. They come like we're gonna and nothing. I've been holding on to this and sharing it with anybody that I know who has any kind of standing. Like, by the way, I have this. What do you think of the idea? And it's essentially getting their buy-in. Thanks, I've got you over here now. Oh, you agree too? I've got you over here. So at some point, I'll present the entire thing to all of them who have already heard it. And at that point, that's your committee. If you can come out fully vetted, and you're there, then you get the buy-in, you get the backing. And you have to have the backing, like you said, from enough who are not so big that they're going to fight with somebody else and destroy it. But they're big enough to have some clout and to share it across. I think
in America you could. Oh, sorry, to interrupt.
No, you're fine.
Little lag here. I think in America you could get the major distributors on board if you had someone who could pull everybody together. I don't think you'd run into anybody at a major distributor level that would be like, no. And I think you would have almost no issue getting the local to regional shops on board. It would just be a lot of groundwork to get it done. And the bigger thing is it has to be someone who doesn't have a financial, and this is the really biggest part, someone who doesn't have a direct financial interest in this industry. Right. So as much as like, okay, Jonathan's going to do it. No, I've got a financial interest in this.
Yeah.
Right. Like,
I think it's going to be hard pressed to find people who don't have that though, that care enough at the same time.
Well, if you did it right, and it's something I looked into off and on for years, just like you said, you looked into it. You actually would have to have someone that would be the catalyst to start it. And then you have your next stage would be you have an attorney that would manage the organization for you. And then you would do like an elected board for a representative leader that you would elect amongst your ranks for a 1-year term or something. And it would rotate through the membership ranks. Someone to kind of step up to be the face of it, to take that role on willingly. But it would ultimately need to be run. It'd have to be run like a proper nonprofit.
Yeah.
with an attorney at the helm.
Yeah.
An independent attorney you would hire to run it. But you have to have enough funds from everyone involved. But if you got all the retail shops, how many shops are in the States now? Like 300-400 now?
Like major, like
shops, fields, give or take. I mean, the number changes so much. 280, 300, 400, I don't know.
If you throw out a couple per state, maybe, yeah. I mean, I know here in Florida, maybe a dozen altogether at most, if that.
I mean, if you could get half, let's say you get 200 people on board at $100 a year.
Oh yeah, no, it's
you'd have enough to get an attorney to at least get something in place. Yeah, but
the whole structure of it, I mean, I look at the ideas, membership, and regional events. Being invited to regional events. It's the whole. I mean, any association any sports association. Look at how they're run, and we can't get our shit together.
Yeah,
that's really it.
I think MILSIM events, like having standards for biodegradable BBs, especially on military bases where it's required or government land. There's so many regulations and so many things that you can have a book that's like, once you've built it out, think of the ability. This is what I'm thinking for the community. If someone falls on, jumps on the hand grenade essentially and takes this project on, think of the new MILSIM event promoters that could come out. Think of the new shops that could open when you have essentially a template that, hey, this is your liability or risk to liability template. Like basically, here's all the things you kind of need to know when it comes to like the legal and all that stuff. And here what you can do and can't do on social media that'll probably maybe get you in trouble. We can give you advice in that area, and bring the best of the industry in to consult, like do panels on how to do social media properly, bring panels on how to ship or travel, like how to do the field, how to deal with your insurance, how to, run the field the right way, how to, coexist with HPA and have a universal chrono testing procedure. So it could do so much. We as an industry would grow so much if we had someone in place, but who's going to do it?
You are talking way too logically, man. What you're talking about,
I know,
is safeguarding, cultivation, and security instead of just looting everything. Right? That's what you're talking about. It's crazy.
Looting. I like that word.
Crazy
looting.
talk.
Looting.
It is, and I mean, you're not necessarily wrong in that. There's a lot of people that this is Wild West. It's driven chaos, and and I've never been a fan of that in any industry in any possible way. I've always tried to say, okay, well, everybody settle down. If two people working together get 2 to 3 more times done than two individuals working, you're always going to get a better result. They're going to equalize each other. You're always going to get a much better result. So let's all just work together. It's okay. I've been using an example recently. I did kind of a tour, a couple of events and things like that from here to South Carolina to New York, Connecticut, and then stopped in Georgia, and I stopped at Junkies in Georgia and sat with Sam in his office for 3 hours. Now, to some people that blows they're like, oh, aren't they your competition? Well, I mean, sort of, yes. I mean, we're all in competition, but it doesn't mean I'm not friends with the guy. He's got a business. I got a business. We work together. There's actually stuff I buy from Sam. Like that's just how it is. But we have to have that relationship, regardless of whether I buy from him or we're peers or whatever. We have to, for the rest of the players, we have to have that, because the player base is what keeps us alive anyway. Yeah. And if we're wanting it to grow, if mom and dad can't get along, how are the kids going to be well behaved?
Exactly.
And so that's exactly what you have to do. You have to look at it like that. And like I said, I mean, Sam walked me around. I looked at everything he's at, and I'm just like, dude, I'm like, congratulations. This is amazing. You've done a wonderful job here. You've inspired me. When I went back, I'm like, I need to get my shit together. And it made me think about, as I move into the new facility, what do I need to have? Where do I need to be? And it's not him being a threat to me or me being a threat to him, he encouraged me, and we're going to uplift each other. You know, a rising tide raises all ships.
It's very true. You know, I also think like you talk about competition, and yeah, we look at competition like everybody's who's your competitor, who's this. Be aware of them, but at the same time, I mean, like, I think if you're focused on making your business better, you're going to have a better business. If you're focused on beating your competition, you're going to be chasing someone. Mm-hmm. Do you want to be in a race chasing someone? You know what? I want to be in a different class. I want them to win their race and me to win my race. And we both could be first place in our own classes. And at some point they might be way up here in this top tier, Division 1, group. And I'm Division 3 right now, like, what am I? Like, look at like Senpai. Like, you want to say, okay, what's competition? Okay, truly, like, okay, Humorex, ASG, Cybergun Distribution. I mean, look at everybody, G&G, they're huge, right?
Yep.
I mean, they're competition, but are they? No, we're a small operation,
mm-hmm.
and always will be. And there's a lot of things I take inspiration from. And I'm worried about running, Nigel and I are here, we're trying to run our race. I'm not trying to kill anybody. I just want to, hey, shops need margin so they can operate. How can we do that? How can we deliver that? How can we make sure? And this is what a lot of players don't understand. Some companies provide fantastic margin, meaning the amount of money you make on a product sale. And, some not so much. They're more of a volume player. But you've got to have margin to keep things going.
Absolutely.
Just do it for the right reasons. And if you do it for the right reasons, everything else will work out. It always will work out.
Yeah.
I mean, of course, we're not charity. We don't give away things, but
right.
I take inspiration from competition versus wanting to figure out how to murder them, or to take them out. Like, I'm not worried about trying to chase. I could never chase that. Have you been to the Humorex facility?
I have not.
It's massive. It's massive. And you walk in there, you're like,
it's a monster.
Wow. It's a monster. And you see it and you're like, wow, our industry's really this big. It's mind boggling. And it's just so inspiring. You're like, how much money is here that we all have a chance to go earn our piece of,
My motto has been, I'm running my race. I'm not looking over my shoulder to see who's behind me. Because if I could take the time to look over behind me and then pick up the pace, then I'm failing already anyway. Mm-hmm. Run my race, run as hard as I can, and let that be the thing. Steve from SS Airsoft,
mm-hmm.
About 9 months ago, I think it was, he opened a new facility.
Right. Yeah. He closed his field down and opened up a new shop. Yeah.
And it's ridiculous. Like, I did the whole walkthrough, and it's massive, and he's got everything and then some. And I looked at it, and I was like, okay, that's I don't want that. Like, what he's got is impressive. I don't want that. I want what I want. I want what I have listened to my folks and have told me. That's what I want. Mm-hmm. I'm not going to chase him. I'm not going to do what he's doing. He's doing what he wants to do. I'm doing what I want to do. We're both doing similar things. So, yeah, we can share in that entire market. There's no reason we all get to eat from the plate. It's all, and we can all grow together. I'm not bashing anybody. Nope. We're all in this together. And if we want it to be better, we have to be together on it.
Yep.
Have to be.
Yeah.
Otherwise, it's never going to go past chaos.
You guys are talking a lot about racing. I'm just trying to frolic with my friends. You know what I mean?
Frolic with your friends. Yeah. Yeah, we're over here like I just want to beat my own time in the race. I'm not worried about Nigel's like,
I want to hold your hands.
I just want to sit in the grandstand and drink a beer. Like, that's all we need, man.
Yeah, I'll be at the finish line.
Yeah. It's one of those beer races.
Man.
So you at some point opted to get with BCM and do all that. When did you call Nigel?
We've been in touch for a while, kind of finding the right moment, I think. the right strategic moment to make things work. So, God, we've been chatting for how long, man?
About the team up.
About the team up,
man.
Just kicking the tires on the idea. Yeah.
Maybe almost a year, probably. I guess.
Yeah.
Close to it. We bounced a lot of ideas.
Yeah, it's just constant. Like it's like you said in this industry, like you get like you make your friends in the industry the people you know, and then they just, like you said, the circles like orbits, around the sun. Like sometimes the orbits get a little closer, sometimes a little further, depending on timing, and a lot of it's timing too. I mean, just when it works. And I think you just always keep any option open, and if the stars align, it's like, hey, now okay, cool, let's go work together. Now's our chance.
What's up, Matt? Local guy, Raiders Airsoft team.
Go
Raiders!
That's this guy right here, Maverick. I've known him 10 years, I think. He's my son's age, and I watched him go from when they were all shorter than me, believe it or not, to grown men 10 years later. They start playing at 12 years old. Matt still comes into the shop now, and it's awesome to see. That's my favorite part about all this is I get to watch these kids grow. Some come say goodbye, they go to college, some hang out, they start jobs here, they go into service, they do all that kind of stuff. And it's super cool to have that. And then to, on top of it, do what you guys have done, where you said, okay, well, I've done this over here. I know this guy here, and I know I can depend on him. I know it'd be good. Oh, by the way, this will mesh very well. And the relationship I've had with Nigel when he called me up, I mean, I was sold right away anyway. Of course, it makes you feel guilty for not buying stuff. I don't know. And I'm like, all right, fine. Just send me a bottle of BBs or something, or whatever. I'll just send it. But no,
we don't sell BBs.
Right away, it was, I knew what he was talking about. I was already open to listen to, because it was coming from him, and I knew I had a feeling that there was things I could trust in it because I knew it was coming from you. So that team up right there absolutely made me be like, all right, well, I'm good. Let's give it a shot. And then, like you said, I mean, obviously margins were good. And some of the products that I'm bringing in were something I was looking for anyway that didn't really match. I couldn't find that right match anywhere. So like I said, the receiver kits are going to come in. That's going to be fantastic.
That would be cool.
But yeah, you guys doing this, and again, getting to watch it happen is super cool. And I'm really trying to get that across to anybody that's watching this, anybody that's seen this, that's in here, to go from a player to a distributor. Like that's right. Not that wasn't A, B, you didn't just, that was a mountains and mountains of movement, and that really was Ellison. That's Christopher's son. What's going on, pal? Hope did you win your game? He had a baseball game today. So I mean that's not a direct shot, and I'm sure neither one of you probably planned it 10, 12 years ago.
Heck, barely planned it 4 years ago. Yeah, when the opportunity to get BCM for the States kind of presented itself, I was just like, is it time? Is it ready? And I think I've done enough scary stuff in my life, from IT guy quitting a job to doing YouTube to literally starting a donut truck. I don't know if you know that chapter of my life. I had a donut food truck for like a year.
That's new.
That's a chapter. For a whole other day, another story.
Donuts and coffee.
Donuts, exactly. Coffee guy. Doing the patch business, like kind of going for more media, just selling the patches, the Patch Fiend. That's our only direct to consumer, direct to customer facing side of the business. Really probably need to do wholesale on that, to be really honest. I need to warehouse that in the States.
It wouldn't hurt, man.
Yeah, it wouldn't hurt. I know. In fact, I want to talk. That's why I kind of want to talk to you about that, Nigel. I want to get I need your advice. I need your sage wisdom.
I think so, man.
After the call, so I was wanting to chat with you when I sent you that text. I'm like, hey, want to chat? Gotcha. And I passed out. So because I've been working on that. But it's like doing that and then like figuring out Amazon as a sales channel. That was its own battle for the past 2+ years. Kind of getting that going, and then the Airsoft distribution piece. I know the Airsoft world, but like moving chatty Cathy's moving product at that level is very different than like selling at a store, like it's a
different beast.
It is a different beast,
different animal
with scary extra zeros at the end of everything. The decimal point that way a little bit, it's like I gotta write a check for how much this month. It's like it kind of reframes it. Well, I think any business owner goes through this. If you own a business, you start realizing you're writing these crazy checks that you're like, I've never written myself a check like that. How can I send it to them for that much? You're like, what? I mean, it just still blows your mind. Like you just kind of go numb after a while. You're like, yeah, whatever, just take it. It's like.
Some of the guys that come in the shop, they keep at they're like, you get the place sheet, I'm like, you guys got to settle that. We're trying to year and a half. We've been trying to find the right place. Yeah. So I finally started sharing information with them, and it settles them down a little bit.
Overwhelming.
Like, all right, we just signed the lease. Just to give you an idea, I had to give my security deposit. Like, I was like, yeah, it was 72. They're like, oh, 7,200 is not bad. I said, no, 72,000. It's $32,000 a month. Is the lease on my building. So you guys that say you're going to come play, you better come play.
Yeah. Like you could buy a car every single month for what just the building, not the contents, not the electricity, not the insurance, not the
employees, not
employees.
Just the lease alone is that much. And I knew it going into it. I knew that's what was going to happen, and I knew I had to find several revenue streams to make sure it was going to support it.
I'm going to tell you right now, you're going to be abso-freaking-lutely shocked. 3 months, 4 months, 5 months, 6 months after your opening, you'll be like, I should have got bigger. Oh, good God. Like you're going to have all like everybody I've ever talked to that's gone and finally made that leap to open that indoor, right? To go like, oh, let's do it. The community's bugging me. Fine, I'll just do it. I'll put my entire life savings and bankruptcy on the line, potential bankruptcy. Let's just go and do it. It's insane. And I know your story is going to be the exact same story. You'll be like, one, you'll be like, I should have done this sooner. Why did it take me so long? Two, how are we going to get a bigger place? That's gonna be your two problems, I think.
Right.
And we've actually talked about it. So it's a 5-year lease, and I'm sure it's going to be successful. To be honest with you, I actually am not doubting it. I joke about it a lot. I have zero doubts. I have apprehensions, which is healthy, but I have zero doubts. I believe doubt is, if I had doubts, I should not have taken this step.
100%. Yeah.
I have the knowledge that it's going to work, just have my apprehensions and make sure I dot all my I's. But I've got information from Nigel years ago about an indoor, and I took notes then, I take notes now. And I told you a month ago or whatever it was, whenever the last, not this most recent, the last time we spoke, that I was working on this, and yes, I will be tapping you for information when we open up, because it's going to be very important. And
we're glad to help either one of us both. I mean, like between Nigel and I, we both. I mean, Nigel's hands on with so many countless field owners.
Yeah.
From play experience globally, I've seen some really well run fields and games of how you structure your play style. I think I could probably help give you some what I've seen works, and you could test. I mean, every community is different of like how to actually run the game, the player experience portion. But I think from like a business strategy portion, like a mix of what to carry, all those kind of things. Like this man right down here is the right one to chat with.
I've made all the mistakes, so you don't have to.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was the key factor, and make it like I wanted a bigger place. It just was impossible to get anybody with the bigger place. They just wouldn't close. And I was like, so we finally found this place, and 15,000 playable. It's going to be good enough for now.
That's still good size, man.
That's really good for playable. I mean,
it's good. I'm trying to avoid
bigger than average.
Only speed soft. That's the thing. I want tactical as well because a lot. There's speed soft down in Miami. There's speed soft in Tampa. Mm-hmm. I'm going to have speed soft. It's got to be there. But I wanted also these guys to be able to play tactical, so I just had to figure out and manipulate how am I going to be able to do that. With 15,000, it's a little bit.
Is it square? Is it more like the players?
Actually, so it's technically one big giant rectangle.
Okay.
So it used to be a Publix. 10 years ago, it was a Publix.
Good. I got the mental issue. Yeah. Okay.
So I'm taking half of the building. It got broken down into 3 different buildings. I'm taking 2 of them. There's still an antique mall that's the other side. But the back half of it is almost 2 stories basically, because that was storage for
food dry storage, inventory.
So we're blowing out the whole front because it was an office for a little while, blowing all that out. Player staging's there, and the whole arena. I've figured out a way to make actually 10 by 10 by 10 collapsible buildings, so they can fold in on themselves, and I can push them off to the side, so we can have like 2 or 3, or we open them up and then branch them out and make 20-foot buildings or 10-foot and scatter them about. So we can.
One thing I've seen work for smaller-ish fields. I've only seen this executed a couple different times, but it's pretty cool. Instead of having like you said, the modular layout's awesome because once people learn the lanes, they'll just camp a lane, right? That's what happens. And if you've committed, you've anchored these things, and then you're like, you move something, and the map adjustments key, absolutely. So you've solved that problem. The other thing I've seen very successful, that's why I was asking if it was square or like square-ish, is I've seen people do a variable U-shape layout. So you can start the teams on the same wall. Mm-hmm. But you've got a middle divider, and you could fight in a U-shape, and you go, well, that gives me a choke point. But what you do is in the middle lane, you slice the field not all the way across with the wall. You make it still so it's a U, right? Mm-hmm. And you're starting way back at the tops of the U or the bottom of the U, depending on how you want to see it. And you run out, and you have still your main fighting lane that people want to get to, and that's a little more open, so you have longer shooting lanes. But in between, you have your CQB buildings up the middle, mm-hmm. and then you can have walls that open to allow you to cut to the other team's side, or close and lock. So depending on the game, that door may or may not be open. You may or may not be able to cross at that point. This room's closed today. Crud. And let's go to the next one. The next, it's a total U game.
It's so funny you mentioned that, because we actually are doing. We talked about when we were going to have the bigger one, and we're talking about doing smaller ones that you achieve an objective, and it electronically opens. I don't want players manually moving anything, but you achieve an objective, it'll open. So windows in some of the fixed buildings will actually have a trigger mechanism where it's closed, can't shoot out of it, can't shoot into it. You might run into a building to hide, and there's no way to shoot out. Now you've just locked yourself in a building, and you got to fight your way out. Or if it gets shot from the outside, or you achieve an objective, the window opens for a period of time. Now you actually have cover, and you can shoot out of.
So I like your idea. So what if you did as a capture point type thing? Maybe slap a button, start a timer after so many minutes, then the door opens. You can hold that building for 2 minutes, let's say, 3 minutes into the game, then all of a sudden that passageway, that door opens for you.
We're doing a NXT. I forget what the name of it. They're out of Indiana, I think. They have a 60,000 square foot indoor. I saw them. They have a skybox, and I was like, I'm putting 32 cameras in anyway, all wireless cameras scattered about. I'm going to put a guy in skybox, so I only need one admin on the ground for instant reaction. But admin in the sky watches everything, So I don't need guys wandering around getting in people's way. One on the ground can stand off like this, and if something happens, he's a physical body, so I don't have to have the guy to climb down the stairs.
Yeah, he runs around with the shield, you know.
Yep, he's protected. He's okay. But the cameras allow, if you had a great shot, you're like, oh, I wish somebody caught that on camera. Give me your thumb drive, and here's your video.
Great
People
shot.
sitting in the cafe can actually watch gameplay. I can stream it, and it's also for the admin. So we've got all of that, and I'm trying to add all these little components into the whole thing. I'm getting local law enforcement, which in Florida, into 3 counties, there's like 52 agencies just in 3 counties to take the morning blocks from 10 a.m. to 3 p.m. for training.
Yep.
And so it wouldn't be used during that time anyway.
Yeah, it's perfect use because otherwise it's sitting dormant and you're not making any money on it.
I just partnered with eShooter, and they have fantastic Bluetooth targeting that you can change the lighting on it, all in the app. Change the lighting on it, so I can have it pop up. If it's green, that means it's friendly, don't shoot it. Right? If it turns to red, shoot it. It comes down, comes back up, it might be a different color again. So I'm putting that. I have actually a shoot house designated for individual, maneuvers and training. I'm trying to have all of these, and then the 2 800 square foot free roam VR rooms. So
that'll be cool.
Yeah, that'd be a lot of cool. That'd be super cool.
Yeah. So all of this stuff, we're trying, and then like I said, we've got classrooms. We're putting classrooms in, so there's gonna be open forum instruction. So instead of paying me $65 an hour to work on your gun, you can come in, pay $20 an hour, sit down, use our tools, and say, hey, can you help me over here for a second? Coming over, help, walk away.
Kind of like rent a tech bay or something.
Yep. Teach a man to fish. I'm a huge believer in that. And then once a month we'll do guided tutorial. Come on in to, this Thursday we're doing how to shim a gearbox. Everybody comes in, sit down, everybody's got a gearbox in front of them, take it apart. Watch the spring fly. Go get your spring.
Right.
I remember those days.
Anti-reversal latch won't fit. Right.
Yeah.
And we'll go through that.
Cool, man.
I rather than these guys trying to learn by watching a YouTube video going, and this guy either bad camera skills or you can't hear him or it's in a different language or he assumes you know everything or whatever it might be. We're right there. You can ask questions. We can have the class, and there you go.
Hey, nothing wrong with that, man. Those guys from India, every time I need something fixed here, they come through in a clutch. Like my washing machine was broken. Like one time I'm like, how do I fix this? Because it's like an Asian model. It's like that's not what we have in the States. And all of a sudden there's this guy, I'll be like Google, I'll be like the model number. He's like, let me show you how to change the motor. And I'm like, I don't understand a word this guy's saying, but his video skills were awesome.
Right.
His little phone cam. I'm like, bro, you saved me. But no, the class thing's cool. I mean, teaching people how to do that, give them like a mech. I can see it now, like an exploded mech box diagram on the wall, so they at least can. Visually they can see what's going on. The basic set of tools. I mean, like just kind of like let them come and rent a space because otherwise they're in their, a lot of people are in their bedroom in their house, or you're losing a spring in the garage, like Nigel said. Your universal latch ends up under the lawnmower and it's gone.
There it is. Z Monster.
Yeah,
you're right. It's like that's how I started. I remember the first gearbox I opened. It exploded on me, of course, as it did for everybody. And and then I looked down and saw all these. I thought I knew what I was doing because I used to race RC.
Oh man.
And you're like, what did I do? What did I get myself into?
Yeah.
And then I messed up dozens of gearboxes reversing a ported cylinder. Why is this thing not getting any pressure?
Oh, God, no compression. What's going on? Why does this not work? Oh, I put my cylinder in backwards. Great.
Classic.
That's why I'm getting 180 FPS.
Sal will be on next week, by the way, next Wednesday. If you guys want to see, Sal will be on talking about TCA next Wednesday.
Oh, okay.
So if you want to jump in and see that and yell at him from the chat. But yeah, it's Miss Lori. So again, here's another local. Lori does. She started Lori Watson Creation. She does hand braided slings, and she does dead rags. She does T-shirts. She does.
Oh, nice.
And she has been supported by all the local fields to a point where she now ships out of state. Her business got so big at one point she couldn't keep up. And she broke her sewing machine. She was using it so much. Like it was so
Laura,
much.
Are you selling on Etsy? Or
she's actually her website, Lori Watson Creations. Just go to LoriWatsonCreations.com. My website guy and I got together and helped build her site for her so that she could get started. It's a community thing. This is what should be. This is how we should do this. The barter system is a wonderful thing for a reason. I've had
back to community rules. I mean, like, not everybody's a baker, not everybody's a plumber, right? And just share. She's like, I'm driving, sorry. Like, all of a sudden we got questions.
Yeah. No.
So yeah. If you're not on Etsy, by the way, look at Etsy as a platform.
Etsy's
Lori.
great.
I've moved some of the patches over there, and this is not a shameless plug or anything. It really isn't. And I've seen at this point, I'm about 5 to 7%, about 4 months in, 5 to 7% of my Amazon sales I'm getting on Etsy now. And I should be able to cap out between 10 and 20, which is surprising. And they take a lot less fees. It's pretty easy to work with. Wow. The build-up's a little slow, but you give it some time, be patient. Etsy takes about 6 months to get your reputation going. If you want to scale your business but not like get flooded, look at adding that on top of your website. Mm-hmm. It could give you another sales channel, which could be very beneficial, especially since your stuff is handmade.
Yep.
That's fantastic. Yeah, I appreciate that. Again, insight from people that have been doing it for a while.
Yep. It just takes time. I mean, like, there's a lot of good optimization videos you can watch on how to optimize your Etsy listings, so they're different. But being a handmade product like that's the ones that really, truly shine over there.
Yeah.
You don't have to be an expert at photography. A lot of times the natural shots are good, but she can probably, if she's not doing it already, she might be. Give herself an extra, 20, 30%, 40% boost in just gross sales.
You can get in a lot of trouble on Etsy, man. There's those niches, like in the cosplay community, like Star Wars, fan-made Star Wars props and costumes. Like they're crazy on Etsy, man.
Oh yeah,
nuts.
Oh, you got Halo stuff on. Oh yeah.
No, all that, all that sci-fi stuff. Yeah.
Well, it's funny I'm doing it because the reason I got the 3D printer is I just picked it up. My next foray from the Patch Fiend side is the designs that work really well. I'm actually getting made, and I have a 3D artist regenerating them into 3D to sell as figures.
Very cool.
Like so, this is my prototype machine. So the ones that do well that I test on like Amazon and retail, then they convert and then they'll go into retail.
That's cool.
It'll be mass produced in China, like full on factory.
Sure.
So
they'll be like this, like not this is now if you guys like One Punch Man, like it'd be one of these. If you guys know the anime,
okay,
one of those, like the vinyl. These are vinyl figures, like that kind of style. So
Tiny just he's coming back into Airsoft, and that was why Dead and Outfitters was called Dead and Outfitters initially. He was doing things like patches and IFAC kits and things like that. That's where he started, and he's coming back, and he just started his own patch design, and he just did a little test run, and he had some great success with it. Went to a group on Facebook. He was like, "Hey guys," did a little patch drop, and they gobbled him up.
Yep.
And that's where he lives. That's what he loves. He sits at home in a dark room with a little pen light shining down because he can't sleep, and he makes these little designs, and that's just what he does. And it takes off for him. I love to encourage. I appreciate you guys giving the encouragement. Some of these guys, there's somebody that may hear this at some point, may watch this at some point, and finally be encouraged to go, yeah, all right, I really do want to do this. Don't be afraid. Don't just.
Patches are awesome.
I would love to say, don't just quit your job and go and do it because it's exactly.
But add it on. Like, go do it, jump.
Make sure you guys have think and do it, or start it part-time. It's okay.
Yeah.
There you go.
At least an Etsy shop, that money in your sleep. You just open the shop and let it sit, and it's fine.
Yeah.
Yeah, the app, just your phone dings. Like mine was just actually, it's the reason it got me thinking about it is as we were talking to her, I was looking, I was like, oh, I got 2 more, just popped up in here. That are like, okay, I got to ship those. But once you scale up, like I have mine linked to my Amazon inventory. I have like an app that like basically will almost auto fulfill from there. But yeah, like you can easily scale up, and making patches, if you're creative and you know something that will work for a specific audience, you can do 100-unit patch drop. You don't have to make a lot, 50, 100 pieces. There's a lot of factories that will do runs that short, and just go for it. But I will say this, one thing in the patch community is all of us are really good at not copying each other, which is, I've run into a few on Amazon. They're typically overseas sellers that love to take a perfect one-to-one.
Mm-hmm.
But once you scale big enough where that's a problem, you can, there's ways to solve that. I mean, you just have to go through the legal routes.
Tiny was really good at making, and after he left, I had to reproduce a patch that he made. So we have a couple that you can't buy that you have to earn, and one of them is called Savage Patch, and it says Savage on, and actually is basically a rendering of Randy Macho Man Savage, and across the glasses it says Savage, and you had to do something savage on the field. Like the old field we had a junkyard. If you could do a hood slide, shoot somebody mid hood slide, that's savage. If you got that's 7 savage. Knife kills in a single game, things like that. Well, I had to reproduce it, and my opinion, that was his. He made that. So when I reproduced it, right at the bottom, I put initials ATP. I'm not that creative, So I put his initials at the bottom because that was his, man. Tiny was always very good at that. We collaborated on a couple of things, but that was always, those things were, I'm an engineer. Don't ask me to make anything look pretty. I can.
You want to make it work. Yeah.
I'm not making it. I got other people to make shit look pretty. That's not me. That was his side. And we still, to this day, there's people walking around. He made a gotcha patch. And the only reason you could get it is if you got him, like that. Well, I just added
somewhere.
The Savage patch and a gotcha patch. I just started a whole new shoe line, whole apparel line, and I've got a pair of gotcha shoes that has the patch on the toe of the shoe, and wrapped around the shoe says "Made You Look."
That's what I've got the "Made You Look" patch, which is the little the.
Yep. So I mean, try to bring all these things out, but definitely that's all stuff that you could start and not have to quit your day job.
Yep. It really is. And just scale up. I mean, and trust me, you can make a very comfortable living creating anything if you just learn sales channels. Get you a Shopify store, start off, look at your Etsy channel if your product qualifies, if it's a handmade or at least something you've created. If you're creative and you're doing some part of the creative process, if you are not just reselling a product you buy on like Alibaba, dealing with vendors is not incredibly challenging. You can find them out there. You have to test a few till you find a patch company that works for you, a factory, and of course deal with all the things there. But it's not that hard. And the best thing about these small items, it's not a big financial risk. You're not dropping tens of thousands of dollars to try to get your first launch. You could launch 100 patches for $400, right? You can go pay $400 with your idea and get it out there.
It just occurred to me, and it's funny that Christopher just brought his name up. He is probably one of the best examples in the chat right now. Sal's an owner of Third Coast Airsoft, one of the largest event producers in the country. Sal is full-time lieutenant colonel in the Army. Not reserves. He's full-time deployments and everything.
Wow.
And he runs Third Coast Airsoft.
I got a Third Coast patch right now.
Just
moved off my desk.
Do it. If it's something you really want to do, you can do it. Absolutely positive. You don't have to not. Christopher, who runs the East Coast for Lion Claws, he's got a full-time job, and then he does this. You got to be willing to put the work in, though.
Yes.
It's not like, I mean, this is not me saying it.
Like Alex said in chat, don't let you talk yourself out of something, and that's it. And then the other thing is, you hear this from so many of these gurus and all these people online, but the ultimate truth is, and I know we're running a little late here. I don't want to keep too long. It's absolutely the biggest mistake you can make in business is not doing it.
Mm-hmm.
Like, you just not doing it, and like almost everything is like, God, I should have done that sooner. You know, like that's about like even mistakes. Like I can tell you, I'm looking over here off camera. What I had to push it out of the way. I have like 4 boxes of products that bombed so bad I couldn't sell a single unit on Amazon. Wow. I ran ads. I bought it. I'll show you what they are. They're my patches. They're my patches. I'm using one right now. They're coasters. They're drink coasters. They were 4-pack drink coasters in my patch designs, like the Suck My Balls patch, right? And I'm like, cool, drink coasters. This will work. This is a great idea. It's PVC. I can use my same factory. This is a fantastic idea. Like, this is great. Not the same customer. No. Not the people that buy coasters don't like these jokes. People that patches do like the jokes. But you learn a lot. And so, like, I got to figure out how to recycle, 80 kilograms of polyvinyl chloride sitting right over here.
They're PVC. Glue some Velcro to the back of them. Now they're patches again.
Yeah, I mean, true. Yeah, I mean, I was like, I could just do the glue on this monster, but it's a huge.
And now it's a patch.
Yeah,
actually, it's funny you say the coasters. I actually had a guy from MK Airsoft. He just showed up one day and brought me these. They're coasters, cork back and everything, but it's my logo. My logo.
It's awesome.
And it's laser engraved in.
But don't even try to look for these. I've already nuked them off Amazon. They're
they
do a recycling program, by the way. So
yeah,
they're gone. It's not even a plug, but like you're gonna make a mistake. So I'm like, all right, well that cost me. I don't want to talk. Okay, fine, but it's gone, right? And I scrapped my entire Amazon inventory, and I've got all this stuff here. I got to find a way to get rid of it safely, and not just dump it in the trash. But yeah, I mean, you're gonna make mistakes, but you'll figure it out. I have some patches that are bombs, like absolute bomb. Like, this is a great idea. You put out there, nobody buys it. And then I have some that I'm like, it's okay. And all of a sudden it's like your number 2 seller. And you're like, I don't get it. So,
well, we almost hit the 3-hour mark.
Yeah, we're almost there. So I was going to say, I was like, we're gonna...
It did.
Nigel, you called it. You called it going into this. You're like, we're going to talk.
It's going to be 3 hours. Yeah.
I'm okay with it this time. Normally I'm not, but I'm okay. This one was different. Yeah. Covered a lot, and I really appreciated it. I hope somebody other than the 3 of us was actually able to take something away from this. That's all I care.
There's a lot of knowledge dropped in this video, man. Like if you have questions and you like, it's a lot of breadcrumbs in here. You know what I mean? Talking about inside industry stuff. It's been great though. I do want to say congratulations again to you, Greg, on the new endeavor with the field, man, the indoor place. I know how scary that is, the reality of it. When I had my indoor place, like I was okay when they said, hey, somebody bought the building. We're going to go ahead and cut your lease. I was like, oh man. But then like in the back of my head, I was like, oh dear God, thank you. So I know how scary the reality of it is, especially once you start investing the time. But I think you're going to do great. Like we've been talking about, man, you put your heart and passion into something like this, you're not going to fail, dude. So
I appreciate it. I really do. And coming from someone who's been there and someone who is still there, you with the venture you guys on scale is certainly bigger than what I'm, but
we're like Leonardo and
just the bank account with a minus sign next to it. That's the only thing that's bigger. Don't worry.
It's a little nerve-wracking, but I have faith. I believe that it's and the plan is strong. I mean, the business model is strong. The plan is strong. And
I would tell you right now, I wouldn't open a shop these days if you didn't have a field attached. Like, you can make okay money doing a shop,
right?
You can make really a comfortable living doing the field. It's just the problem is, like you said, I mean, you shared your lease cost. I mean, it's just there's a lot of zeros. And that's a very scary thing to go. Okay, 5 years at 20. Okay, I've
told people, listen, if it's all relative. What I pay now is about it's 5%, 4%.
Yeah,
I'm going to be paying, but I'm also getting like, oh my God, 600% the size. I'm like, it's not even related. The amount of difference
and the community.
Yeah.
And you get the indoor field, and you're in Florida, man. You got to have indoor there. Like,
and
in the summertime, it's like here, you just die.
I got all AC too, by the way.
Oh my gosh.
100%.
Really AC? RIP your electric bill.
Listen, I already decided if it costs me an extra $1,000 a month to air condition.
You think 1,000?
An extra 1,000, not just
add an extra zero, amigo.
Remember though, this used to be a Publix, which means it's well insulated for that purpose.
Yeah, you're right.
Come on, man.
It's not just it's not just a warehouse that's just going to bleed out cold. Yep. You're right. It's actually a proper commercial space.
Yeah, I always wanted to invest in those huge fans. I never did pull the trigger by the time I got out of my indoor place. But the company's called Big Ass Fans.
Big Ass Fans, yeah.
Big Ass Fans. Yeah. And they're huge.
Mm-hmm. Well, that's Nigel, your problem was, I think you were ahead of your time.
Yes.
When you did yours, you were so early to the indoor game that you were way ahead of. If you would do that today,
it would have been
a hit.
Yeah, dude.
Like slam freaking dunk. But I think you were so early to the game that there were only a few indoor fields in the country at the time.
Yeah, well, so here's what I was up against is I had multiple outdoor fields. But I would always go hit up the indoor places when I'd visit family in California on vacation, and I was like, man, this would be cool. But Kansas City's not LA. You know what I mean? Like, you don't have the population, all the money. Yeah. So old barbecue town. It was okay. It was good to me. We built a lot of good things there. And I was going to make a comment too, seeing some of the support you got in your comments here, man. Like I could tell that you're building a good community and those guys will be the foundation of moving forward and keeping that positivity going within the community and the player base.
They're going to be your ambassadors, really.
Right.
You've got. I agree. You have a lot of ambassadors in chat.
I'll give you an idea of how good my community is to me. I love them. First of all, I wouldn't be here obviously without them. But I cook out of my field, so during lunchtime I cook. I do burgers and dogs. Right.
Nice.
And because actually that's how I got started helping on the field. I would bring my son and his friends, and lunchtime would come, and I had a little Coleman grill, and I would make hot dogs for us. And I would look over, and I would see these kids sitting like under a tree, dying with a bag of chips in their hand because their parents left them with just crackers. I'm like, oh, right. Like, come here, get a hot dog, come here. And all of a sudden, after a couple of times of doing that, I got a line. I'm like, whoa, all right, $1 a hot dog. Because you
Papa's dogs.
That's not terrible, dollars okay, and I'm covering my costs basically, and it grew and grew and grew, and then all of a sudden I had Papa's Dead End Cafe when I owned the field, right? And then we closed it and we opened up again. I kept cooking, and at one point people were like, "You got to raise your prices." I'm like, "This is customers telling me I have to raise my prices." I'm like, "But I'm making my nut. It's okay. I'm covering my costs because you got to do more than cover your cost." I'm like, "But." You guys pay enough. They're like, raise your price. So finally I was like, listen, guys, next game day, everything goes up $1. So now my hot dogs are $2. My cheeseburgers are $3. My bacon cheeseburgers are $4. And they're fantastic. The cheeseburgers they're great.
See, now I want a
deal, man. Yeah, I know.
Now I want a bacon cheeseburger.
Two bottles of water for $1. Gatorade is $2. I don't sell soda at the field because
nice. That's
I'm not
good.
trying to kill anybody.
Yeah.
And I
no Monster before you go out.
I actually just started carrying liquid IV, liquid IV, the hydration packs.
Yeah.
So $1 for a pack, and you get 2 bottles of water for $1. So
there you go.
$2, and now you've got whatever you need. You're right. I did yell at you for being too cheap because you were actually he didn't factor in tax and shipping when he was first selling your BBs, sir. That's how tiny and I put together. But it was my community that made me raise my prices because they felt I was selling it too cheap.
That's awesome.
They wanted me to make the money to keep improving on what we had. And that's what gave me the courage and encouragement to do any of this, because I know they'll be there. And I know that they know whatever I sell this for, whatever the price is on this thing, it's absolutely fair considering what I'm having to pay. You know, it's not gonna be $45 a game or anything like that, but it's also not gonna be $10 a game.
Right. You know, well, that's a real conversation. You know what I mean? Yeah, I used to tell a lot of guys, like, you can run it like a hobby or you can run it like a business. And if you run it like a business, it's actually beneficial for everybody. You know what I mean?
Yep.
Because hobbies come and go, right? But if you run it like a business, it's more stable, right? So
awesome. This is Augie, by the way. He's another Dark Horse 6 guy. I love my Augie. He is fantastic. He is absolutely phenomenal. He is your hometown Brooklyn boy. He is amazing. But he's another member of Dark Horse 6. So these guys, but the support is, I couldn't ask for a better community. These guys are wonderful.
Yeah, I can't wait to see it, man.
Yeah, well, yeah. See that? They all do it. They all do it. So grand opening, you're definitely invited to it. Make a trip, and we will. I think the grand
keep us posted. Yeah, keep us posted. Absolutely.
The next 6mm shootout too. I'm going to redo 6mm shootouts, and we're going to do it indoors, and I'm going to make it a true competition.
There you go. Okay. So with the target system and everything too. Yeah.
Oh yeah. So that there's going to be the shootouts there. I'm actually implementing. I think I told you. I'm actually implementing, because it's a team thing. There's actually going to be a teching section. You're going to have your tech step up to a table with a gun that's completely disassembled.
Oh wow!
You got to put it together, and then you got to shoot it.
This is like Bad Batch, Star Wars. You got to have like the tech guy. You got to have the heavy weapons guy. You got to yeah. Okay.
Everybody's got to play their role. If you're a real team, your team has all of those roles. If you're a real team, yeah.
Oh, for sure, man. Yeah, I see what Alex.
Hey, you want a real challenge? And I'll wrap with this. Make them have to program a Belfang radio.
Oh my God.
You need your radio guy.
You know what?
You are not wrong,
I
sir.
am the worst at that. But David Lee, anytime I see him, I'm like,
oh yeah, he's
David
a pro
Lee
level.
You're my guy. Yeah, man. But yeah, definitely keep us posted, Greg. We're here for you, man. We got your back,
man.
Dude.
And thank you so much. Yeah, guys,
and thank you so much for having us on. Like,
no,
really,
man, it's my pleasure. Truly, truly my pleasure.
This is the first time I've been able to dust off the podcast chops in a year.
We've been talking about it, right?
Yeah, we have been talking about it.
Listen, man, I'd watch every episode. You got to know it. I'd absolutely watch every episode. Please bring it back.
Well, yeah, the Nigel. Let's bring it back as the Nigel and Jono show.
Buy our stuff.
Yeah, buy our stuff.
Buy our stuff, sir.
Yeah. Yeah. Guys, if you're looking for that BCM products, Avalons, things of that nature, come on by. Dead and Outfitters, coming from these guys, right on over to me.
Yeah, if you want to, if you snap anything and share, I'll share it for sure. So make sure you tag me up in it.
Yep.
And yeah, man, appreciate you.
Yeah,
I'll follow up with you.
What's that?
Yeah, I'll follow up with you when you get those done.
definitely, and hopefully it comes in this week. I actually won't be here on Friday, but
I'll have tracking for you tomorrow-ish. Okay. I think. Yeah, it's pulled and getting packed. So
awesome. Now, if guys, any closing statements? Anything anybody wants to say?
No, man, we've covered so much. Yeah, just again, thanks. That's all I can say.
No, thanks for having us. This one was definitely for me. I appreciate everybody that came in and commented, but this one was for me.
It was cool seeing some familiar names over here too.
That was awesome. Yeah, that was really cool. I'm glad you get to see that. That was super cool. Thank you for all the support, Nigel, especially over the years. Thank you for the support, both of you. Thank you for hanging in the industry and keeping it good. I really do appreciate it. Until next Wednesday, thank you all for joining us, and we'll see you then.